quarterback win over Houston, the Razorbacks gained the second most total yards in school history. Quarterback Quinn Grovey led the way with a big day individually, passing for a career-high 256 yards, rushing for 79 more, and accounting for 5 touchdowns. Rice's Donald Hollis is also a dual threat. After 2 years of playing mostly defense, he's a full-time quarterback now, ranking second in the Southwest Conference in total offense. And he's helping bring respect to the Owls' improving program. Today, Arkansas and Rice are primed for an offensive showcase. Raycom Sports and Entertainment presents Southwest Conference football. Today's game is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and Stadium, just a couple of miles south of downtown Houston. And today, the Owls play host to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And happy to have you with us again. Dave Barnett along with Dave Rowe. As we focus in on the quarterback matchup today, let's take Andre Ware of Houston, who may win the Heisman Trophy, and put him off in a class by himself. And we may have the best of the rest in the conference.
Well, I think we do. You know the old adage, as the quarterback goes, so goes the team. And that's true today with both Quinn Grovey and Donald Hollis. For Quinn Grovey, it's a little bit different this year. The junior is much more mature. He's a much better leader on the field. They look for him to pitch the ball a little bit and to throw the ball. Last week, 268 yards against Houston.
And you wonder what Donald Hollis means to the Rice offense. He is literally 2/3 of their attack.
Oh, he is Mr. Everything on this Rice team. Can play both defense and offense. He's been moved to quarterback. And look there, he has been directly attributable to 2,000 of their 2,900 yards. He is quite a player.
The coaching matchup also is interesting. It's one of those things you get occasionally where the off-the-field relationship is as important as what happens on the field to them.
Well, they are very, very good friends. They coached together at Air Force for 5 years, and then they went out there to Arkansas, and then Fred Goldsmith was the defensive coordinator. They're very, very close. Interesting enough, they said, fortunately, we don't have to play each other, meaning personally, but it's going to be quite a match today.
Well, last year, of course, Fred Goldsmith was part of the Arkansas coaching staff, which saw Rice play them off their feet in Little Rock, and the Razorbacks only won 21-14. They come in today as about a 3-touchdown favorite, but if they get caught looking ahead next week to their matchup with Baylor, it may be a little more interesting than a lot of people will figure. Back for the kickoff, the Owls and the Razorbacks coming up. Goldsmith, of course, coaching against some of the people he recruited and brought all the way, defensively at least, to the Mobile Cotton Bowl last year.
That's an interesting quote by him. I'll hug them when they get here, and I'll hug them when they leave, but in between, we're going to get after it.
And Kenny Hatfield, best friends with Goldsmith, says they probably won't call each other. Their wives will definitely get together, and it may be expensive.
Yeah, and go shopping. Well, that's tough. It's really tough because they're very, very close friends with each other, and he said they talk each week. They go over things, and you develop that type of relationship both as players and as coaches, and it's a good one.
Really pleasant weather in Houston today. A slight breeze out of the southeast. There was some rain this morning, and the AstroTurf, as we look at it here prior to kickoff, looks like it's about 100% dry, maybe a little slippery. As you can see, pleasant temperature for Houston, not all that humid. And we look forward to the kickoff between the Rice Owls and Arkansas Razorbacks, who have played over the years a fairly close series. But if you look at it recently, of course, Arkansas has dominated. The last time Rice was victorious back in 1980.
Well, you know, when you look at that and you think that Arkansas has won the 14 of the last 15 games, take a look at the summary there. This is both the teams for the season. Look at the dominance of Arkansas rushing the ball. 335 yards a game rushing.
Pat Courtney handles the kickoffs for Rice, a freshman from Tampa, Florida. And Barry Foster is the deep man back for Arkansas. He takes it at the 13. And has an alley up the right sideline, and it is Courtney himself who makes the touchdown as Foster almost arrives at midfield. A 36-yard kickoff return by Foster, the fine running back out of Duncanville, Texas. And Quinn Grovey brings these statistics for his career into battle today. The junior 2-year letterman out of Duncan, Oklahoma, will be joined to the backfield by James Rouse, the fine senior, and Foster, the fullback, with Russell, Horton, and Winston doing most of the catching. And Russell coming off about as good a day as he has ever had in the win over Houston. Mabry, Gifford, Crawford, Henry, and Apolskus are up front. And in the option I offense installed this year at Arkansas, Rouse takes the pitch into Rice territory at the 48 for a pickup of a couple. And so we set the Owl defense. Joel Dawson making the tackle. He's up front along with Matt Stein, Paul Bratzi, and Tim Fitzpatrick. The linebackers are led by O.J. Brigance, who should make some all-conference teams this year. The secondary with Latin, Thornton, Griffin, and Codrington.
Immediately, Arkansas comes out and says, we're going to run the football. And I think you play into Rice's hands a little bit when you start to run it. You have to pass the football.
Grovey fumbling the snap and then having to retreat back into his own end at the 48 for a loss of 5. He was chased back there by David Griffin, the free safety. The Arkansas must today.
Well, first of all, they must run. When you're averaging 350 yards a game rushing, you've got to run, and you've got to run with authority. Pressure Donald Hollis. He is the key to this offensive unit on Rice. And not look ahead. It's very easy when you're playing a team and you're 20-point favorites to look ahead and say, now, who do we play next week? But I don't believe Kenny Hatfield and his staff will allow his team to look ahead.
After the loss, 3rd down long. They need 13, and on the draw play, Rouse gets the call. And look at the coverage on both ends by the defense. He wanted to throw. He had Tim Horton open. But he only picks up 5 before Codrington escorts him out of bounds at the Rice 48. He had Horton all alone, but could not get the ball to him.
Well, he also had a man downfield. It may have been Apolskus who was downfield, about 4 yards downfield. So he couldn't throw the ball, or it had been brought back.
Alan Meacham with his numbers for the year. Senior from Flagstaff, Arizona, gets off a beauty. Wobbly spiral. Eric Henley with the fair catch at his own 7-yard line. And the Rice offense. Rice, of course, traditionally known for their passing game, and that's not going to change this year. With Donald Hollis second only to Andre Ware in the Southwest Conference in total offense, and only the second Owl ever to account for at least 2,000 total yards in one season. Hollis, the junior from Rosenberg, joined by Henley, the slot back, and Cobb, really the lone setback in most of their formations. You saw the receivers, and up front, Teichelman, Reeves, Sagina, Cook, and Baldwin.
And I think if you're a Rice Owl, you couldn't have asked for it to start off any better than to hold Arkansas and get the ball right back.
Deep in their own end, first pass of the day is caught by Merritt Robinson, a junior 2-year letterman from Los Angeles. Guided out of bounds by Anthony Cooney. As we look at the Arkansas defense, and this is one of the better units in the conference this year, Ollison, Rowland, and Shepard will be up front in their 3-4. With Benson, Barrow, Thomas, and Mason, the linebackers. And the secondary, Banks starts ahead of Michael James at one corner with Williams, Jackson, and Cooney also back there. Quick pass again. This one caught at the 21 by Trevor Cobb, a true freshman from Pasadena Dobie. Not far from here. Ty Mason made the stop for Arkansas. What does Rice have to do today?
Well, first of all, it all revolves around Donald Hollis, who's the middle must. First of all, find Eric Henley. He is having just a marvelous season. Donald Hollis will be the one that can find him and avoid fatigue. That's been their biggest factor, is that late in the games they get worn down. And we'll talk more about Fred Goldsmith's plan to rotate these players both on offense and defense.
First time on the ground, and this is Cobb. And he stopped a good 5 yards shy of the first down. Nick Thomas, the Reed linebacker, a sophomore from Bakersfield, California, on the tackle there. That'll set up the 3rd and about 4 or 5 situation. You see Cobb's numbers for the year. He is now their starting running back because Richard Williams tore up a knee in the A&M loss last week and underwent his career-ending surgery, unfortunately, just a couple of days ago. 3 wideouts as usual, and they send Cobb in motion out of the backfield. Hollis is chased by Barrow, gets it off and complete to Meldon Turner, and his tight end has the Owl first down up near the 40-yard line. Banks with the tackle, a gain of 17.
I can't tell you how hard that is to throw that pass on the dead run with good coverage. Now watch the flush right in the middle. Now he's got to throw this ball in a dead run, and watch where he hits his receiver. Watch where Turner gets the ball. We're not talking about him having to reach or anything. Right in the hands. when you're big and strong, as Hollis is at 6'3", 215, you can just flip that ball with your arm and deliver it 20 yards downfield. Well, that is a big pass to keep this drive alive for Rice.
Melvin Turner, the third leading Owl receiver. And Hollis with great protection here. Now Rowland gives chase, and Hollis, the leading ground gainer as well as passer, of course, for the Owl offense, up across the 45, a gain of 7.
Well, this is not pressuring Donald Hollis, and this is what's going to get them upset. That's Chad Rowland in the middle. He just gets double teamed in there. Now you see number 98, that's Michael Shepard. He's playing a spy tackle. That way you just don't get any, you just don't allow that, you just don't get that rush on the quarterback. You just can't sit back there and let Hollis just pick you to death.
Hollis averaging 4.5 yards per carry this year. That is phenomenal for a quarterback, because you also have to factor in sacks. And again, the protection there. All kinds of room up the middle, and a first down into Arkansas territory for 5 yards. Nick Thomas, leading Arkansas tackler, with the stop, and there are the running numbers for Hollis.
Well, one of the things with a scrambling quarterback that you have got to do is, number one, you have to contain him. Don't allow him to get outside the pocket. Secondly, you have to get that pressure up the middle and keep him in front of you. And now Arkansas is getting their offensive linemen, their defensive linemen are getting split and allowing Hollis to find that little seam, and he's run successfully so far in this drive.
First time into Arkansas territory. And on the ground, Trevor Cobb, quick tackle by Chad Rowland, the nose guard, the junior from Sherman, Texas.
Well, that's as well as you can play the nose position. What Rowland did that time, hit into his center, played across the line well. The play dropped back behind him, and he dove back in for a tackle. You just don't want to get cut off from that nose position, and he did not.
This is a tough team to run against. The opponents average only 3 1/3 yards per carry, and only 4 rushing touchdowns allowed all year by Arkansas.
That's because they practice against the run all the time.
Cobb again in motion, and Hollis all day to look. Cobb all alone at the 30. Keeps his footing. Patrick Williams on his back and down at the 20, a gain of 30, but a flag down. And it is back about where Hollis released that, so you have to wonder about offensive holding.
Yes, that's what it's going to be. What Arkansas did was they did a loop on the outside. They take their end, they loop their end out, and you'll see the man come up the middle. Now watch right there. You see the hold right there? Well, that's exactly, that's a hold and a tackle. And that's the way Mr. Teichelman will get his name mentioned.
Bud Alexander is our referee today.
When I say loop, Dave, what they're doing is they send one man out and they do like a twist in the middle, and that's a good way to get pressure. Hollis was able to avoid it, and obviously that's why he avoided, because the man got tackled in there.
Greg Goldsmith likes to spread it around, although Henley's caught most of the passes. Lots of folks have contributed in his offensive scheme.
Well, that was a big penalty, resulting in about a 40-yard loss.
Back at their own 40, and Hollis through Henley's hands. As he goes to him for the first time, Aaron Jackson, the converted running back, had the coverage. Henley, the number 3 receiver in the nation. 63 catches coming in. If he catches 14 more, he has the single season record here, and that's saying something, because down through the years, they have not had winning teams, but they've had great passing stats.
Well, it was an interesting comment by Fred Goldsmith also. He said things are going to get better here before Eric leaves. He wants to see Eric have that feeling of success, and he says they're going to get better before he leaves.
He's got 2 more years. Just a sophomore from Ontario, California. Hollis again looking straight back all the time he needs until now. And with a Razorback on his ankle, somehow he finds Trevor Cobb back in Razorback territory, a gain of 15.
You remember I talked about the strength on that first play? This is another play with that great strength. Watch this. No place to go. He steps up. Now watch, he's going to get hit. Most quarterbacks go down right there. He doesn't. Gathers his composure, comes back up. Now watch the arm. Bam, just from the shoulder, just boom, just throws that ball out there and picks up nice yardage.
Well, Scott Long had him in the grass, but of course that's a pro rule, and Bobby Schrader lines one going for the corner. They will mark it out of bounds up near the 25-yard line. Nothing game. 8:37 to go in the first quarter here at Rice Stadium in Houston. Starts from their 24-yard line. They have to breathe a big sigh of relief because of that penalty.
Oh, boy, that penalty. You know, you often look at penalties and that you say, well, it's early in the game, it's insignificant. But that not only is a 40-yard penalty, that holding call, but it also doesn't allow them to get a scoring drive. Let's look at our Dr. Pepper roundup at Clemson, North Carolina, early in the second quarter. North Carolina not having a good season, to say the least.
Grovey to Rouse. Cut back. A lot of room in the middle. And a first down up to the 40. Bill Stone, the bandit outside linebacker, making the tackle on Rouse, one of only 3,000-yard gainers in Arkansas history.
You want to see what a hole looks like. Now watch the vision here. We talk a lot about vision. Boom, you cut right back inside here, get behind those big linemen. I'm going to tell you, since the Texas game, I think James Rouse has run much better. I think he's run just with more authority. It just seems like he's more confident. I don't know what got into his bonnet, but something did. He's got a buzz on him because he's just running much better.
So they try him again. And Shine, the nose guard, there to greet him after a pickup of 4. You would think, when you look statistically at these two teams, Dave, that the Arkansas scheme today is just run it, but Ken Hatfield told us before the game that's not really the case.
Well, it's true, because what happens is you fall into Rice's hands. You've got to go out and you've got to attack this secondary. When you look back at Rice's secondary, you're looking at sophomore, and junior. Very young, very untested. He feels that they have to challenge that way also.
First man through this time, Foster, and he goes nowhere. Joel Dawson was right there, the left defensive end, along with Paul Brotze, defensive tackle. Something else is going to be different for the Rice defense today is the substitution pattern.
Yes, they're going to try to switch a lot of players. They're going to let their first team players play 8 plays. Then they're going to try to switch, not all at once, but they'll switch individually. Let them play about 8 plays and then come out and rest 3 or 4, then go back in for another series, because as we talked with Fred Goldsmith and his staff, they feel that they just wear down late in the game, especially when you look at this Arkansas team. They can wear down anybody.
Rouse went in motion. Kerwin Price is in for the first time, and down will go Grovey. Loss of 7 yards on the sack by Corey Seymour, a true freshman from Houston-Madison. He's the cousin of Kenny King, the former Oakland Raider.
Well, watch this play. You're going to see that doesn't look like Quinn Grovey is as sharp as he was last week, obviously. He just doesn't avoid the pressure and goes down for a sack, brings up 4th down and 12. Now, that's important that Grovey gets that good start, because he's a spurt player. When he gets that good start, he just really starts well, and everything seems to go well, and he just builds on it.
Henley on the short punt return, out of bounds, 35-yard line of Rice. They're still scoreless. We're midway first quarter after a 30-yard punt by Meacham. Rice with another crack at it. They start from the 35-yard line after the short punt by Alan Meacham. As usual, 3 wideouts and Cobb in the backfield. Nice blocking up that right sideline, and Cobb out of bounds, first down, gain of 12. Nick Thomas chased him out, and Rice can, when they have to, get it done on the ground as well.
Well, they've got to be pleased with no score in this first period, because when you look at the way opponents have scored on them in the first period, it is amazing. They've been outscored in this first period 60-23.
And so far, they have had the better of it.
Really have.
Offensively. Arkansas having a tough time moving the ball. Cobb one more time, straight up the middle for only a couple as he reaches and stretches toward midfield. The tackle made by Tony Ollison. He and Long switch off at the read tackle. You might explain that. They call it call tackle and read tackle.
Well, what happens is the call tackle goes to the side of the strength, and the read tackle is on the back side. And what they do is they flip-flop back and forth. They call one the call tackle. Wherever the defense is called, that's where that tackle goes to. That's the way we used to play it for the call and read tackle. The read tackle reads the play and doesn't allow the running of the quarterback. I want to straighten out one thing, though. I had that mixed up. Wait a minute, Rice is the team that scores in the first period.
They got trouble after the first.
That's right, after the first period. That's right, they scored 60 points in the first period.
And early movement by Rice, so they marched back 5 yards. 45-year-old Fred Goldsmith, defensive coordinator of both Arkansas and Air Force. But it's not his first time as a head coach. In 1981, Texas fans are going to know this school. He was head coach at Slippery Rock. Every Texas game, they announced the Slippery Rock score.
Sure, you know where Slippery Rock is, don't you?
Pennsylvania.
Slippery Rock, PA. You know that well.
He's the 8th head coach since 1971 here at Rice. Hollis really under very little pressure all day so far, and finds Cobb, and he's got a first down. He knew right where that stick was.
Boy, when you are a mobile quarterback and you can move around in the pocket, it is so important for that quarterback to be able to move around. Now watch this, you'll see. There's Cobb coming down. Now watch Cobb. He's going to get pushed out of bounds. Now he's out of the play, right? Now I'm going to sneak back here. Stop, and I'm going back to the sideline. That's what you want to do. Move and find a seam. Now in pro football, you wouldn't be allowed to catch that because once you're out of bounds, you are out of bounds for the play. But that was quite a mismatch as far as size also.
Cobb up to the slot this time. 1st and 10. Arkansas with their heels back defensively. Lewis Ballady just checked in, gets the catch. Freshman from Dallas Jesuit. Ben Hatfield, I think, was afraid of this. And of course, we're very early. It is scoreless, but he was not super confident, really, when we talked to him.
Well, there's a halftime score. Notre Dame over Navy. Only 24-0.
Only.
Wow. I think a lot of people felt this game would be that way, all except the coaches. You're right. Kenny Hatfield said, I'm afraid of this team. They're going to scrap. They're going to play like Fred has them playing. He meant with a lot of intensity and a lot of desire because they've been very competitive this year.
Trevor Cobb out of the tackle attempt by Shepard and picks up 5 before he's out of bounds at the 30. And Curtis Banks over there along with Williams for the tackle.
You know, Dave, I don't think you have to look too far back in Rice's season as far as this year compared to last year. And look at the games that they've lost this year. A play here or there, and they would have won 3 more games this year.
And a call here or there. Of course, they thought they had Texas beaten, and then Gardere stretched them. They said, got the touchdown. They lost that one by 1. They had a tough call in the Wake Forest game, setting up a tying field goal on the last play. They've led in all but 1 game, and that was the blowout by A&M last week.
They've been very competitive, and that's something they have not been in the past. And I think that's got to be the most pleasing thing to Fred Goldsmith and his staff.
Hollis almost intercepted that time by Curtis Banks as he went for Chris Nixon along the sideline. Hollis has thrown 9 interceptions this year, but as much as he throws it, that's not that terrible a number.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You know, it's interesting. When I shook Fred Goldsmith's hand, you wouldn't believe how strong he is. I don't know whether he was trying to put the clamp on me or something, but I kind of winced a little bit. Typical defensive coach, you know, squeeze your hand.
Former Florida Gator in his playing days. Cobb went in motion. Hollis looking left. Now chased out. Good pressure this time, but he steps through it again. And Eric Henley at the 15. Another Rice first down, a gain of 17. Mason and Benson combining for the stop on Henley.
I can tell you, as Kenny Hatfield wipes his brow, the first thing they're going to tell their players is make sure he doesn't step up in front of them. Look at this. He just makes everybody miss. Steps around. Now watch right here. Interesting. Right here, just kind of gathers his composure, and look at the soft pass. A lot of times when you're under pressure like that, you just drill it. Now watch the play right here. This is that little soft pass. Boom, just right into his hands. Henley just picks it up. Everybody just finds a seam out there. Find a place to get open.
Play action bootleg, and Hollis looking into the end zone. Dodging, weaving, pickup of 3 on the keeper.
Boy, does he make players miss.
At his size, 6'3", 215, he plays like a water bug.
He does.
Like a Groby.
And you don't think of him, like you say, 6'3", 215, you don't think of someone having nimble feet like he does, but he just makes the defensive lineman miss when he rolls out.
Well, Goldsmith, when he first took over here, made the comparison after watching a lot of Troy Aikman video before the Cotton Bowl. He made the physical comparison to Aikman, and he says he thinks a lot like Steve Walsh did, a quarterback for Miami. Cobb, a gain of only 1 as Scott Long, the Reed tackle, read it perfectly. Long, a freshman redshirt from Benton, Arkansas.
Boy, and hasn't long had a good year this year. 6 sacks already in the season. That's quite a tribute when you're playing a read tackle that you get 6 sacks. That means that you don't allow that quarterback to step up. You're the pressure. You get it on him and you sack him.
He leads them with that 6 sacks, also 7 tackles for loss. He was the top high school player in Arkansas 2 years ago. 3rd down, and they still need to get to the 5. Flag down. Illegal motion, I would think, once again.
I think it was Billy Baldwin, their right tackle, I think, set back a snap ahead of time. You may be able to see this. It's number 79. See if he doesn't step back. Well, let's wait for the call first. Is it going to be illegal?
Dead ball. Illegal procedure. Offense.
Let's look on the left of your screen. See 79 in the up position. There it is. That's the preset. What they do is they go from, when it's a sure passing down, they go from that 2-point stance so they can get better drop and better vision of the defensive player rushing them. But that's not where you want to have a 5-yard penalty.
Second time the Owls have been down here and then victimized by a penalty. So now 3rd and 15. Good coverage, and Hollis finally into the end zone, going for Robinson. And with the coverage back there, had to airmail it. Back there were Banks and Jackson, and so Hollis at least gets the Owls in field goal range, and they will send on Sammy Hartman, who's had a good year. He's only been their kicker since game 3, but he's made 7 of 9, and that 78% is second in the conference only to Todd Wright of Arkansas. Bobby Schrader, the punter, is the holder. This one from 38 yards is gonna go. And the Owls once again have themselves an early lead. So that pattern remains. All but one game Rice has at one time led. Sammy Hartman, who is now 8 of 10 for the year, with 1:53 to go in the first quarter. They went 11 plays, 45 yards. I think we've already gotten the feel for what Hollis means to this offense, just in his overall athletic ability and his coolness as the kick will go out of the end zone.
Well, you know, we talk a lot about Hollis, and we will the remainder of the game, because he is, what, 68% of the offense. So, gosh, we'll do a lot of talking about him.
As Grovey comes in for Arkansas, the scoring by quarters really tells the story. They get out of the gate fine, and then they wear down, and Goldsmith doesn't have a whole lot of depth. And now he's worried about his conditioning to the point that he's mixing up that rotation, as we talked about. Some will play 8, rest 4. Some play 6, rest 3. Pitch, James Rouse, not much room, out of bounds with a flag down at the 23-yard line. Tim Fitzpatrick over from defensive end for the tackle.
And I don't think that was thrown on the tackle. I think it might have been thrown on one of the blocks up above him. Looked as if the official threw it on the block.
May have been Derek Russell over there throwing the block.
Well, you immediately think it's on the tackle because it was thrown right where the running back ran, but I think it may have been on, as you said, on Russell. Watch right there. You see number 2 in your picture. That's Derek Russell. Now see, he's holding him. Now the official's right to the right. You'll see right there. Now see, he throws the flag in, and he throws it over there on the hold. Those wide receivers, they're not great blockers anyway.
Both the Latin, the man being held by Russell. Yeah, that's not his forte. He is a deep threat. About as good as you'll find in this conference. Now at halftime, Clemson by 11. Michigan up over Fred Akers and Purdue in the first quarter in Ann Arbor. And in motion is Cedric Fillmore. And James Rouse getting most of the early work, with Arkansas keeping it on the ground for 5 here up to the 19.
I think I could be a multi-millionaire if I could figure out what makes players tick, because 2 weeks ago Arkansas played Texas and they just were not emotionally in the game.
And how strange that is with all the build-up that game had.
Exactly. Then they come out and play Houston last week, and they probably played the best game since Ken Hatfield has been at Arkansas. And now they come out against Rice, and they should certainly overpower Rice. And you say, well, gosh, you know what's going on? Is Rice playing that good? It's just that Arkansas just seems to their emotions just are up and down. Got to get that maturity.
Grovey chased. Good job, and has the first down. And you saw his escapability. Gain of 12 yards for Grovey.
And that's the man that it starts with on this Arkansas team, his maturity and leadership. He takes it upon himself on this play. He's just going to say, hey, we got to get something going. We got to get a first down. We're deep in our own territory. And watch the maneuverability of Grovey right here. Sees that little red flag right there and says, whoop, I got to get ahead of that, and I'll get out of bounds. That's a perfect run.
We talked about Hollis averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Grovey, less of a throwing quarterback, so he's not sacked as often, but he averages up near 6 yards per carry. And again out of the option I. He will keep. Another nice pickup. 8 yards to the 39. You've seen two different defensive schemes against him. Texas had one guy shadow him like a man-on-man, and Rice not doing that here early.
No, that's the way they stopped. That's the way Texas was so effective to stop Grovey, is they stopped him at the points. They made him pitch that ball. Now, you saw that time when he came down the line, he faked the pitch and could turn up. When Texas was there, they were smacking him at the point and making him pitch the ball 4 yards deep and recovering. As you say, two different theories on stopping that pitch action.
Rouse, huge hole off right tackle. And now Latin giving chase and prevents a major gain. As it is, it's 11 yards up to midfield, and it stops the clock with 13 seconds to go. We want to alert our stations that we will stay on the routine, and the next break will be a network break. Rouse already with a big day.
Well, he certainly had a big day last week. I think Kenny Hatfield said that was his best game ever. Like I say, at the Texas game, something happened to James Rouse. And all of a sudden, he started running with the authority that he had run with in the past. I don't know whether it's some of these other backs creeping up on him or what, as far as their talents, but he really runs much better.
That is the end of the first quarter, and it is Arkansas, rather surprisingly, coming from behind. They trail by 3 here in Houston. Accommodations arranged through Hilton and the Hilton Honors Program, which offers frequent travelers the fastest route to a free hotel stay. Call 1-800-HILTONS for details. Dave Barnett, Dave Rowe back at Rice Stadium in Houston. We open the second quarter with Rice on top after a 38-yard Sammy Hartman field goal. And that is not a fluke the way the first quarter went, because Rice really was the dominant team. They had a couple of scoring opportunities. One knocked back by a penalty after a big gain and a pass from Hollis to Trevor Cobb. And here, Arkansas looking at first down and 10 right at midfield. Ron Dickerson, talented freshman in the game. He went in motion. And to the tight end, Billy Winston is inside the 20.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was there. The trajectory of the ball kind of fluttered, but Grovey saw him open so fast. Watch right here when he turns around, he's open. Now look at see the ball just boom right in stride. It was a nice throw. I think he was quite surprised to see the big target Billy Winston just break open right there and just right down the middle.
All these Arkansas receivers have big average gain statistics. Even the tight end likes to go deep. Rouse fighting his way, and then he is shoved back as soon as he got to the 15 for a pickup of 5 yards. Now the first quarter statistics,
they should prove interesting, and they do.
Look at the passing for Rice.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Arkansas did not complete a pass in that first period. 103 to 57, quite a flip-flop. A lot of people said this was going to be a blowout game. As we said, all except the coaches. They know each other. They know their preparations. This could be quite a game.
Play action for Grovey in the roll as he is chased. Got away from Dawson. Now Rouse into the end zone, and a big deflection by Bill Stone. He very well may have prevented a touchdown.
Well, he did. Stone got his hands up just at the last second and knocked this ball down. Now watch, he's going to just try to flip it over top of his head. Now watch Stone. Boom, get those hands up. He just tips the ball. You see Rouse in the bottom of your picture? He was wide open, could have just danced into the end zone.
Rouse had released from his pattern and gone deep, and Grovey saw him. The only thing stopping 6 points was Stone. 6-3 for North Carolina State in the second. Dickerson is checked in for Arkansas. 3rd and 5, and he's in motion. Blitz coming. And Grovey down. A loss back to the 18. O.J. Brigance, the fine junior from nearby Missouri City, Willow Ridge High School, with his first tackle of the day.
When Rice gambled that time, they said, if you're going to complete it, you're going to complete it quickly. And for Grovey, he didn't have his receiver wide open, and they just blitzed on him, and Brigance came all the way from the far side. And when Grovey pulled up to try to find somebody, boom, he was right there and knocked him down.
So Todd Wright on to try and tie it up. His only miss this year was last week against Houston from 37. He did have one block, but that only counted as a team miss against Texas, and that ended the team's NCAA record 33 field goal without a miss streak. Whistles and a flag, and they let time run out.
Well, that's not all that bad. I know it doesn't sound good, but you say you don't want to have a penalty on this, but the ball's towards the right hash.
Offense.
You can see right there, that's delay of game. It's not really a big problem because the farther you get back, the less the angle is. So it's a little bit of a good factor for Wright. See how the angle is lessened. We're looking right through the goalpost here, and that's how the angle is lessened. As you get farther back, it becomes a straighter kick.
40-yarder out of the hold of Gary Adams. Plenty of distance, and splits it. And we've got a 3-3 game as we play very early in the second quarter here in Houston. We will be back after these messages from your local stations. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network. Todd Wright good from 40 yards out, and the Hog Hats, and they are numerous here in Houston today. A little bit happier about a 3-3 game with 12 minutes and 47 seconds to go in the first half. The drive went 9 plays, 57 yards, officially 41 yards on Wright's kick. And Glenn Ray Hines, the kickoff specialist for Arkansas, will kick to Henley at his own 2. And they work the reverse, and this is Jimmy Hines. His dad was Jim Hines, the 100-meter world record holder for so long, but not much on the sleight of hand here.
Now they tried the old reverse where you try to overplay and hope that you get that seam. Watch right here. Here's the handoff back to Hines. But you'll see Arkansas comes down, and what they do, and when you come down and cover, is you stay in lanes. You see how they're staying in their lanes? Just nowhere to go. That's played as well as you can play. That's when you coach all the aspects of the game. Coverage team comes down, everybody stays in their lane, not everybody runs over to the ball. Consequently, they get them inside the 11-yard line. Good coverage
by Pat Burris. So Rice, tough field position at their 12-yard line, and Hollis looking over the middle, loops it up with the flag down. Melvin Turner dragged down by 3 or 4 Razorbacks at the 35-yard line. In fact, all the linebackers, but we'll have to see what the flag means.
I think it's going to be holding. I thought that Turner, when he came off the line, got held. They may rule pushing off, but I think he was held. Well, maybe we can get another peek at it. We don't know. We're waiting for the call. Well, I'm going to guess.
Holding.
That's what it is.
On the defense.
I knew it.
Refused.
You're uncanny.
I'll tell you right now. Well, it only could be 2 things. Now, you know, it's really funny in the booth here. Everybody wants to take credit for that because they're all pushing hands. Lee Friday says, I called it. I called it. Well, that's all it really could be. Is it's either offensive, defensive interference, and it looked as if he got held coming off the line.
What touch on the looping pass by Hollis. Easy to have that ball intercepted, but he dropped it right in over Turner's shoulder. Now a bullet caught by Nixon. And a gain of 6 to the 41. Chris Nixon, one of the returnees this year, senior from Beaumont South Park. And their biggest deep threat, as you see, that near 20-yard per gain average.
Arkansas plays that soft zone defense. When they play like that, they drop back and let you catch it in front of them and come up and plaster you. Well, Hollis can pick them apart doing that. They're going to have to play a little bit tighter on their coverage.
Cobb out of 1 tackle, but not Nick Thomas. He was able to out-sprint Michael Shepard, but Thomas, the leading Arkansas tackler, transfer from Bakersfield, California, had the speed to run him down.
Boy, and hasn't Thomas been a pleasant surprise for Arkansas fans this year? Came in here, transferred, and just has taken over that linebacker spot. He's their #1 tackler coming into this game.
This guy may be the #1 tackler in the future.
That's Ray. See right there?
Ray from Arkansas. Ray Palm, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Maybe not, on the other hand. 5 needed on 3rd down, and Hollis over to Cobb with Williams not able to bring him down. Cobb, Arkansas territory, up near the 40, a gain of 19. Good job avoiding the tackle, and a good block by Merritt Robinson over there.
This is a missed tackle. It's also a flood of a zone. You throw it all the way out here, and they ran their receivers deep, and now the linebacker's got to come all the way over to get Cobb. And Williams misses the tackle, and down the sideline goes Cobb, and he's down at the 41-yard line of Arkansas. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If they give Hollis enough time, he is the key to this Rice team.
Draw play, and Cobb met immediately by Tony Allison from Malvern, Arkansas, the man that backed up the All-American Wayne Martin last year and then got a starting job in the Cotton Bowl, and off and on has started at Reed tackle this year. Arkansas didn't blitz Texas much at all. Do you expect them to change that today?
Well, I think you have to blitz. I think you have to blitz the quarterback when you have a quarterback like Gardere, of course, of Texas, or Hollis here. You have to blitz them, but you also have to stay in your lanes, because if you don't get pressure on him, boy, oh boy, he steps up, and then he's got that run-pass threat.
Thomas showing blitz here, and Hollis flushed out by Mason. But you've seen already he can run the ball, and he is a yard shy of a 1st down, 9 yards on the game.
See, and that's a good example of what happens when you blitz and you don't get there. And if you don't keep that containment and you allow him to read the blitz and get back outside, he comes outside flush. Now, if they keep containment on him, he's dead in the pocket. He's just tackled right there. But when you don't keep that containment and you allow him to flush outside with his speed, he'll outrun those blitzes.
3rd down and 1. Arkansas 32-yard line. Quick pass, 1st down, Merritt Robinson. A two-way performer, not in football, but athletically in general. He also plays DH and outfield for the Owl baseball team.
Now, how much confidence does that give your quarterback when 3rd down and 1, everybody knows it's going to be a run, and he has such confidence in his passing receivers and his ability to throw the ball, he passes on 3rd down and 1.
And you saw that, the 9th 1st down, only 4 rolled up so far by the Razorback offense. We're 5 minutes into the 2nd quarter, and this is a Rice-dominated game, although not on the scoreboard. They have dictated the action. Over the middle to Cobb, double covered and immediately dropped by Mason and Thomas, those 2 inside linebackers.
I think one of the big things that Hollis has going for him is that size, because when he backs up, when he stands up there, he can just find his receivers.
Well, our Schick permanent storyline today, Arkansas with good yardage on the ground, nothing really through the air except the 1 completion to Winston. Hollis, 139 through the air. And a 2nd and 7 facing him at the Razorback 24. Quick pass again. This is Turner, the tight end. He's going to be a couple shy of the 1st. And again, Thomas, along with Ken Benson, combining on the tackle. 5 yards on the pickup.
And that has to be an automatic by Turner to read that when the linebacker's not there, because the pass is thrown. If you watch when Hollis throws that pass, he just takes 1 step, boom, and throws it to Turner. So it almost has to be an automatic read by Turner. When his linebacker's not straight up in front of him, then he just turns and looks back to the quarterback finds him. Well, I'll tell you, the size of Hollis is the thing that gives him such an advantage.
Straight back, looking for Henley, overthrows him, and he had 6 points ahead of the coverage by Aaron Jackson. But one of the few bad passes that Hollis has let fly today.
Well, it's a bad pass because of the pressure. Watch the blitz up the middle. Good containment on the outside. Here comes the pressure, and he barely gets that thing off before he's hit. But that's what you have to do to a quarterback like that, get that pressure up the gut. But he still almost completed that ball.
Benson, the man that almost got the sack, and Hartman, good already once from 38, will try it again from that distance. This one is wide left. Only the third miss this year by the junior from Corpus Christi. So Rice, kind of the story of their season. They get a lot of yards between the 20s. This time they come away empty.
And you can tell he missed this immediately. It starts to hook. Watch him. Oh boy, there it goes.
Still 3-3, second quarter. Today, this is not your garden variety offense that Arkansas runs. This is one of the better ones in the country.
Absolutely. You see that they're fifth nationally rushing offense, eighth in total offense. They have a great football team. To be held like they have been held in the first part of this game is just amazing. It's really a feather in the hat of Rice.
Kerwin Price, as you look at Sammy the Owl, and that's probably Norm next to him. They've got 3 Owls.
Wait a minute.
One doesn't have a name. One is yet to be named. You got Sammy and you got Norm. And as they watch from the sideline, Kerwin Price got the gain of 5 yards. He's in the backfield along with Dickerson. Make it E.D. Jackson, beg your pardon. And Grovey on the keeper is free, cuts back, and is up near midfield. 24 yards on the pickup. Might have been more, but he had to avoid Derek Russell, his own man.
Well, great players take charge when the things are going bad, and watch Grovey. He's one of the great players. But see right there, they don't make him pitch the ball. They allow him to run. Now watch this move right here. You want to see a little stutter step? Don't bite on that one. Boom. And look at that. Plants, and he's inside. He is a great, nifty quarterback. Now what happens is, if you're the coach standing on the sideline, your heart goes up into your throat until he pops back up after he's been tackled. But Grovey's got great resilience to run the football.
This is Jackson, and Brigant's fighting him to a draw after a gain of 4. E.D. Jackson, redshirt freshman from Kilgore. We talked about a couple weeks ago, E.D., as far as the Razorbacks are concerned, stands not for Edward Donald, but for extremely dangerous. He was the hit of their spring practice session and began the year ahead of James Rouse in their rotation. He has since, because of an injury and Rouse's good play, dropped back.
Well, they have, with Harshaw out now with the injury, I think when they had Harshaw, they had 6 top running backs who could play for anybody. That was Barry Foster, and I wonder why he's not in there.
Jackson driving very near the first down. Price is the man replacing Harshaw in the rotation. Harshaw broke a toe and is out for at least a couple of games. And an official timeout and a Razorback down. That may be Jackson.
I think it is E.D. Jackson. So he just bowled over there. You run that ball and you're up in traffic there. You just got to put your head down and just bowl over top of him, and that's what Jackson did. It's not a big back at 210 pounds.
Donald Bowers, the linebacker, is the man that put the hit on Jackson, who was used to contact. He and Barry Foster are the specialists at yardage after contact. That's a stat the coaches keep. They like to get yards after they're hit. Timeout here in Houston. Field, and they talk to him. Maybe a bell rung. Or maybe his knee. That's what we're told now from the sideline. So he's out, of course, and Rouse and Foster are back in the starting backfield intact on a 3rd and 1. Grovey pitch. Rouse picks it up and then some. Knocked out after he got inside the 35 by Otha Latin. 5 yards on the 3rd down.
Well, I'll tell you, when James Rouse makes that corner and he puts that shoulder down, I'd hate to be the cornerback, as Otha Latin was that time, to come up and tackle him. Well, you just see him. He gets that shoulder down, and he's just flying in there. Fortunately for Latin, he had to go out of bounds, but boy, he is a load when he comes around there.
All those backs are. Rouse is 222, Jackson's 210, Foster's 220, Price 210, Dickerson 205.
And they all run like it too.
Grovey all alone in the middle. The tight end, Winston Brigance, brings him down finally at the 18 after a gain of 18.
And that may be Grovey's best pass. When he came out there, he set square, squared up his shoulders to the line of scrimmage and delivered this ball. Now he's going to roll to his left. Now he's got to turn back across his body, but watch the way he squares up. Boom. And throws just a strike in there to Billy Winston. That may be his best pass. That's what they'd like to see him do a lot more. Of course, last week Boy, Grovey had quite a day last week. 256 yards passing.
He had equaled his career high in the first half alone in that game against Houston.
Well, that's the maturity that we talked about, him taking the leadership. And again, he's just a junior. There's another act of maturity. You come and you don't see the defense you want, you call timeout.
Also, he only had 2 seconds to snap it.
Well, that's exactly what you have to look for. You look for those things. He looked up in the end zone, saw that clock.
Arkansas, as we get late here in the first half, trying to take control in Houston. 27-0 Notre Dame over Navy. They will keep their winning streak alive. Alabama by 7 at the half. They try to stay unbeaten, and Virginia has taken the lead now at halftime over the higher-rated Wolfpack of NC State. Here, 6:18 to go first half. 1st and 10, Arkansas at the Rice 18. And Foster backing his way for about 3 up to the 15. None of the Arkansas running backs really should ever get tired because they're not in, and usually you don't see him carry it more than 3 or 4 times in the same series.
Well, that's because they have so many good ones. You see his average 6.6 yards per carry. That's only his 2nd carry. That just shows the point that you make. They've got so many good running backs that they have to share the ball around. You just don't have one great one that carries 25 times a game.
Horton in motion. Double reverse. Rouse gave it off to Russell, the speedster. He's got an alley, and he's got a touchdown.
Well, he makes up for his holding call back on that other drive. But when Derek Russell takes this, he picks up 3 big blockers. Rice, in their effort to try and stop it, overplayed it and had no backside containment. When Russell got the ball, he just had to prance into the end zone.
That is his 8th carry. He's averaged better than 11 yards per run, and it's his 2nd touchdown run of the year. And puts Arkansas up 9-3, and now Todd Wright, who's 27 of 28 on his PATs for the season, will try and make it a 7-point lead. And does, but a flag's down.
Now that flag was thrown way in the back.
Both the officials standing underneath the goalpost threw it, and Hatfield wants to know what for.
You want to guess?
Well, Bud Alexander taking his time. I'm going to guess that the kick will stand.
Well, guess too many people.
Point's good. 12 men on the field participating. The penalty will be on the kickoff.
You are amazing.
Well,
did you have time to count them?
No, I did. Now, this is the replay of the reverse. Watch Russell when he takes this. Now, watch Grovey. Grovey's going to get in this far, too. Well, maybe we won't see him, but Grovey gets right in here. All right, now, watch Grovey. He's got to get in there. Oh, no, he didn't. It wasn't Grovey who made that block. I thought it was Grovey who made that block. He just ran out there to congratulate him. About Crawford's block. He takes out right there. Watch. Boom. That's the big block. That allows Russell again. I thought that was Grovey. Now, how'd I miss them? There's only about 100-pound weight difference on that.
Elbert Crawford, the center from Little Rock, screening off David Griffin, who is the only potential tackler, and then Russell able to leap over him and give Arkansas their first lead of the day. 5.5 minutes to go first half, and Trevor Cobb and Jimmy Hines are back deep waiting for the kick by Glenn Ray Hines. But 5:33, plenty of time for Hollis to bring the Rice Owls back. Deep kick, Cobb 1 yard into the end zone. Breaking one tackle. And almost as good as a touchback. They rule him out about the 18.
And what mixed emotions there as Glenn Ray Hines kicks off. You know, a couple of years, well, last year he was here at Rice, was their punter, and transferred to Arkansas. Of course, his father was a great player at Arkansas, so he's got to have mixed emotions to come out on this field in a different color uniform.
Transferred, sat out the mandatory year, and trying to help beat his old teammates. Hollis bringing him up, 1st and 10, 18-yard line. A lot of time still to go first half. A lot of time to throw, and he's got Eric Henley. Gain up to the 26, 27-yard line, 8 yards on the pickup. That's how Henley gets most of his catches, and he came in, as we said, third in the nation as you look at Hines with a total of 63. Of course, Manny Hazard of Houston leads the nation.
And what does Henley has, what, 7.9 catches per game? Is that right? That's amazing. That's,
two of the top 3 receivers in the country right here in the same city. And Goldsmith thinks 2 of the top quarterbacks in the country. Weir and Hollis, who changes the play, as you said. And to the sideline, the reach back catch by Merritt Robinson in front of the coverage by Anthony Cooney. Let's make it Craven, number 19, with the reception. Donald Bowers is the injured Owl right there with the bruised shoulder.
Now that's a setup play, what they did the last one. As we look at Bowers, that's a setup play. That quick out, that turn, you pop it to him once or twice, and then you give him the old fake and go long. There's still a lot of time, 4.5 minutes on this drive. They got a lot of time to get in position.
Hollis room up the middle, and then Long made the first contact at the 38. So what looked at first like a big gain went for only 4 yards.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Hollis go downfield, fake some kind of an out action, let him turn up and get that one-on-one position. We've seen that be very effective when you run that quick out. That defensive back has a tendency to close quickly, and then you can beat them deep. That's what Arkansas has got to protect against.
All 3 wideouts to the right side, the wide side here on 2nd and 6. And Hollis for Lewis Ballady, and a nice reach back reception in Arkansas territory. 18 yards down to the 44.
Seems like everybody is wearing these gloves today, and the ball just sticks. Now watch this right in the seam. You're going to see Ballady. He's going to have to reach back behind him. Watch this, right behind him. But you see the way he's in between the 2 seams? That's 2 deep zone. You run 3 deep players, and you run 2 in that shallow zone, and you just try to find the seam in between it.
That's what Gardere did so well 2 weeks ago for Texas, taking what was given. Hollis had Bauckham, the tight end, open. Didn't see him in time, and he settles for pickup of a couple, and now maybe a late hit against Arkansas. Benson was over there along with Rowland.
Oh boy, I'll tell you one thing. This is the one that really hurts you. I don't think Rowland was wrong on this play. It looked at the last second as if Hollis was going to go and try to go upfield. Now watch Hollis's foot action. Now right here, well, he's blocked out a little bit by the official. Now see there's Rowland. Now he only hits him. Again, maybe we can look at this from a different angle, but Rowland really does. Now watch right here. Watch Hollis now. He looks as if he's going to go out of bounds. Now he's going to go up. And look at Rowland. He just dives for him. That's not a bad play. But it's sure the result certainly is bad, but you can't fault a player like Rowland from coming all the way in the middle and running all the way. He runs 25, 30 yards to get it, to make a tackle on the sideline.
And Hollis, I think, still down over there.
Well, may have hurt his Achilles on that, because that's the prime where you get hit right on the back of the ankle. There's Rowland. Of course, on the sideline, we see Greg Willig taking some snaps here.
He is a true freshman. They like his talent, but of course, as a true freshman, hasn't been called on that much this year. He's 6'6", 210 pounds, out of La Mirada, California. Just under 50% with good yardage. And he has thrown a touchdown pass this year. But keep in mind what we said when we first came on. Hollis is 2/3 of the Rice offense in terms of scoring and in terms of total yards.
Now, smart thing for Willig to do is to take those snaps on the sideline. We've seen in the past where that quarterback comes out and he's a little bit itchy. He wants to get out of it fast. He pulls the hands out. They brought the center over, gave him 2 or 3 snaps while they tended to Hollis. So he got the action of feeling the ball hit his hands and keeping his hands back up underneath the center.
Hollis still flat on his back on the sideline as Willig gets the handoff to Trevor Cobb. And the slant down to the 21-yard line. Nice first down pickup of 5 yards. Ty Mason on the tackle.
Now you hope this is just an ankle for Hollis. If it is an ankle, what they do is they go in, they tape it up. You can ice it down. It looks as if it is an ankle. I mean, that's the way you walk with an ankle. You see how gingerly he's putting down that right leg.
Rowland, I think, just didn't realize he was out of bounds. He had his face almost flat to the turf. And unfortunately for Hollis, he grabbed him around his ankle. Willig, quick slant out to Craven. Robinson make it near the first down at the 16.
And that was a nice pass also. What he did that time is he was going to drill the ball and then threw it soft. Now you see right there, that almost assuredly looks like the ankle. They may drive him in. Again, they can take that in. They can ice it down. That's the first thing they'll do. They ice it down. Then they'll take off his taping on his ankle. And then they'll come back and retape his ankle and see if it loosens up a little bit.
Ready?
What a day he's had.
What a first half. He said, those are statistics that you usually look for in a game.
That's exactly what Peter Gardere was against Arkansas. 16-20 for the game. Hollis does that in one half. And the measurement says first down, Rice.
A lot of weight on the shoulders of this young quarterback to come in here. But in talking with Fred Goldsmith, he said, boy, I want to tell you, this young man is a good quarterback. Another one of those real tall quarterbacks. And he's got a lot of game savvy in there. He leads his team well.
A&M coaches know who he is. They tried to recruit him.
Here comes Arkansas.
Willig over the middle, catch, touchdown, Eric Henley.
And Dave, two things made this play. The quarterback recognizes the blitz. They showed it early. They all got up on the line of scrimmage. He had time to move one of his backs up to pick up one of the blitzing linebackers, and then just backed out and found Henley on that post pattern for the score. Two big plays there. Two big thoughts in that the quarterback recognized the blitz. They were able to pick it up and free Henley.
Hartman for the tying extra point is good. After the fourth touchdown pass to Eric Henley this year.
Again, you see them pick up the blitz there. And boom, there's Henley on that little post pattern. And he goes in. Only 5'8", 155 pounds. Again, here you see there's the blitz. They pick it up. They've got it completely covered. And he just leads Henley. I want to tell you, that's amazing that you can come in and lead your team that quickly, because what happens is you have a tendency to be just sitting there.
We've only shown 3 angles. Let's go for 4.
Well, you know, back in the 50s, they used to only show 1 angle, but now we show 3, 4 different angles.
And Pat Burris beaten every time on the slanted move by Henley. And look what we've got. We've got 2:26 to go in the first half and a tie game. Rice 10 and Arkansas 10. And obviously a big boost to the confidence of the true freshman, Greg Willig.
Yeah, he really has to be excited about that. But they did 2 or 3 things that were really good. They let him get a couple snaps to get the feel of the ball. He's sitting on the bench. He has no idea that he's going to play, because when you look at Hollis's statistics, Willig has only tried 42 passes this year. So he has no idea that he's going to play.
Larry Foster decided to let that one go out of bounds, and he almost made a huge mistake. The Owls just barely late before it finally did go over the sideline. And our preliminary word from the Rice bench is that Hollis did sprain his ankle, probably will not return, so we may be looking at Willig the rest of the way. E.D. Jackson also has been taken to the Arkansas locker room, so they're down, as well as Bowers, who dislocated his shoulder, and he's also out for the game, the Rice linebacker.
Well, there's a lot of hard play here on both teams. You know, for the Rice players, they know that Fred Goldsmith was at Arkansas, and they don't want to embarrass their coach. They want to play hard for their coach. For Arkansas, they also know that Fred Goldsmith is over here at Rice, and they want to show them just how good they really are. So it's going to be a hard football game.
Only team with the longest scoring streak is Texas, playing host to Texas Tech before sold-out Memorial Stadium this afternoon. This time, Courtney's kick high and short from the 18. It's Barry Foster. And he got crunched at the 29-yard line by Max Moss, a senior from Spring. I want to remind you can win a free round trip for 2 to London, England on British Airways. Some lucky Southwest Conference fan will spend 5 days and 4 nights in beautiful London. For your chance to win, send a 3x5 postcard to this address in Charlotte, North Carolina. Your entry must be postmarked by November 14th. The winner will be selected by random drawing and announced during halftime of the Baylor-Texas game on November 25th. Grovey back to work. 2:18 to go in the half, and he leans up to the 38-yard line for 4 yards on first down. Grovey led the big Arkansas drive to put him up 10-3 and then sat for quite a while.
What a difference when you don't make the quarterback pitch that football. That's the way that they defensed Grovey that time when they played Texas, of course, and they held Grovey to no yards rushing. They are playing the pitch man and allowing Grovey to run. He's been very effective.
Fillmore in motion. Grovey on the roll. Back over the middle to Fillmore, and the converted quarterback into Rice territory at the 41-yard line.
Boy, I can just see Grovey's confidence building. When you complete passes like this, your confidence just booms as a quarterback. Watch this. He's going to find Fillmore in the middle, and all of a sudden he, boom, just wings that ball around to him, standing there. And I can tell you, when you walk back to the huddle as a quarterback, it's almost like everybody looks and says, wow, that was a great play, and we can do more.
Grovey to the air again, and Scott Rouse at the 35. Stone and Brigance able to knock him out. He will be very close for a first down at the 31-yard line. Dr. Pepper roundup as we get later in the first half. Now 21-3 for Clemson over the Tar Heels. They're now third quarter. Michigan by 14. Still in the first half.
Here's a play that time by Rouse to get out of bounds. He tried to pick up that block to get more yardage, but got out of bounds, saved the timeout with 1:19. That can play a big factor. Each team has 2 timeouts left.
On first down, the Grovey keeper. That time they had him nailed, and a gain of only 3. Bill Stone was there waiting, the junior from Plano East.
And that time they played him to make him pitch, and Stone didn't take the pitch man. He was going to say, Grovey, you've got to pitch the ball. And that's the first time they've stopped him on that option play.
It's got to be tough for a defensive coordinator because Foster averages 6 per pickup, Rouse 5.5, Grovey 5.7. I mean, any way you go, you're running a major risk. And this is Foster, and he's close to another first down.
And you got to call timeout here. You don't want to take those timeouts into the end zone.
Well, they eyeball it. One official said first down, but not the referee, and it is 3rd and 1, and Grovey dared to run up the middle, does. Now a first down at the 16 in 23.22 seconds. And now the time will be stopped at least to move the chains up on the Arkansas first down.
And that really surprises me. They started that play. When they finished the last play, there were 45 seconds on the clock. And with one play, they ran to the line trying to hustle quick, and they got one play off in roughly 23 seconds. That's tough. And they have 2 timeouts. Well, they only have 1 now, but I mean, they just called timeout there. But they had 2 timeouts.
Now recount what happened at the end of the first half 2 weeks ago against Texas. It may, as you look back on it, have cost Arkansas the game.
Well, I think it did. What happened is that Arkansas felt that there was a timeout called by one of the Arkansas players, but a fight ensued and they threw a flag. Now, the Arkansas coaches, Kenny Hatfield, took off his headset there and had no communication up to the press box that there were no timeouts, in fact. And then they ran the play and time ran out, and they didn't realize that they had no timeouts left. And they were unable to get that field goal try off, and it really set the tempo of the second half.
And the play they ran was very similar to the one Grovey just ran, but it was foiled because Brian Jones, the middle linebacker, came straight down the chute and sacked him before he could throw the incompletion to stop the clock, and they had no chance as the time ran out to get the field goal unit on.
Well, you want to have 4 shots right now. They've got 22 seconds. Theoretically, you can run 3 plays at least in 22 seconds. You want to have 3 shots to get in the end zone. If you come up short, you've got to call timeout.
Swing pass to the tailback, and Rouse may not have gained anything, but he did manage to stop the clock by diving out of bounds.
Well, that was close to not being able to dive out of bounds. That play took 7 seconds, gained no yards. It wasn't a bad call because with a rush like Rice had, if you throw that little slip screen out to the side and you get your lineman out there, he can just walk into the end zone. But now you've got to throw to the end zone at least twice to have a chance to pick up 7 points. You don't want to throw the interception because you've almost got a sure field goal with Todd Wright kicking.
Derek Russell, who has the Arkansas touchdown on an end around, goes wide to the right. Horton is to the left, and Grovey rolling right. Looking for Derek Russell, has him, who has a touchdown. He got just inside of Otha Latin and then tiptoed along the sideline to give the Razorbacks the lead again.
And I want to tell you, Grovey is throwing as well as I have seen him throw in the games that we've done. To throw that ball on the run like that and just deliver a strike when that receiver doesn't have to reach out away from his body, that's just a perfect pass. He just caught it right in the pocket, right in this, just right where it was supposed to be thrown. He avoided one man. He was in the end zone. If he doesn't get the touchdown, they're going to have first, well, they're going to be on the what, about the 2-yard line, or he goes out of bounds. So it's just a perfect play.
Wright gets the extra point. 17-10 Arkansas as we look at Derek Russell's 4th touchdown catch of the year.
Grovey again on the run. Now watch where he catches. See, right there in the pocket. Boom, he turns around and he's into the score. If he doesn't make that, he's at least going to go out of bounds on the 2- or 3-yard line. You just can't throw the ball any better than that as far as catching it right exactly where you want it.
Russell and Horton, 2 of the better deep receivers in the Southwest Conference. Arkansas does not throw that much. When they do, they go for big yards. They don't mess around.
Oh no, not when you look at Horton there. Horton's on the right. He's got over 21-yard average per catch, and Russell on the left has got almost an 18-yard average per catch. 2 of the big guys, aren't they?
Yeah, 5'9" and 6 feet. I think a liberal 6 feet in Russell's case. And Fred Goldsmith, up until this year, seen Derek Russell from the happy side. But today sees him give Arkansas 2 first-half touchdowns. This one culminating an 8-play, 66-yard drive. The kick by Hines bounces to Cobb. It is 2. And just across the 20, and 3 seconds remaining, so Rice will get Willig and company back out for 1 more play.
Big question. Do you throw it long on this play and hope for something? Or do you just go in the locker room 17-10 and say, okay, we'll take it?
They're a passing team anyway. I would think they throw long.
Oh, I would try it.
Hollis, when he was in, we talked about 2/3 of the total yards this year being his responsibility. Even bigger numbers today. 208 total yards out of their 259. He was 81% of the offense before he sprained the ankle. Well, I was right, wasn't I?
You sure were.
On the draw, Cobb.
I'm glad you called that one and not me.
I don't miss a trick. End of the first half, 17-10. Arkansas over the homestanding Rice Owls here at Rice Stadium in Houston. Today's game, they have, as expected, dominating the rushing, but it's Rice by about a 2-to-1 margin through the air.
It certainly is. And look at time of possession. Rice having the ball. Interesting enough, each team has fumbled once. Neither team has lost it. Each team has fumbled, as I said. Neither team has lost it. Neither team has thrown an interception.
Individually, 59 yards on 9 attempts by Rouse, leading Arkansas on the ground. Cobb 10 carries, 24 yards. Hollis went out 16 of 20 for 166. Grovey 6 of 7 for those 94 yards through the air. And the touchdown to Derek Russell. And that's today's Budweiser halftime stats. Over with 17-10. Arkansas over Rice. They had to get a late first half touchdown in order to take that 7-point lead into the locker room. If you're Fred Goldsmith, you're not too displeased with only trailing by 7 at halftime.
Well, they're doing what they must do to have a chance to win. That's find Eric Henley. They've done that. Donald Hollis, when he was in there, was 16 of 20 for 170 yards. Avoiding fatigue, I don't think fatigue with the weather has been a factor here. They've kind of compensated, and that's why they're still in this football game, only 7 points down.
Arkansas, meanwhile, doing a good job on the ground. Not that much pressure on Hollis, though.
No, they didn't put any pressure on Hollis when he was there, but fortunately they got him out of the game. And not look ahead, I don't know how much that's played a factor in this game. I don't think they're playing with quite the intensity. And you can see Ken Hatfield on the sideline there. He wants his team to come out and take charge of this football game and run it like they should. That's the job of the head coach.
What do you think his points at halftime were?
I would say that they got to play with much more intensity. They've got to tackle and run harder, block harder, and control it. You see there, he's talking to everybody on the sideline. He wants them all to understand what they've got to do.
Goldsmith has been in this situation. They have, more often than not, been very competitive until the fourth quarter, and I think again today that's going to be where this game's decided.
Well, I think for Fred Goldsmith, I think he has got to be pleased with his team's effort to come in and take a team like he did, to leave the warmth of Arkansas, the great winning tradition, to come down here and take a program that did not win a football game and become as competitive as he has in the first year is a tremendous coaching job.
Hines really airs one out. Cobb lets it go through. Rice starts from their 20-yard line. And Donald Hollis, as far as we can tell, still in the locker room getting treatment. He was not out warming up, so Greg Willig goes back in. Remember, a true freshman from La Mirada, California, who did get the touchdown pass to Eric Henley late in the first half. One of his 2 attempts. Along with him, Trevor Cobb, for the most part, is the lone setback. And as usual, they come out with their 3-receiver look. Henley at a slot, Nixon wide to the right, and Ballady is wide left. And again, no pressure. Open man is Chris Nixon. Patrick Williams riding him down at the 45-yard line, and Rice has done that all day.
Again, he went out of bounds. He was clearly out of bounds and came back in and caught this football. Looked like he kind of blended into the sideline. Watch here. Maybe we can see the tail out when he comes back in bounds. He comes back in bounds there. A little bit earlier that he's out of bounds. But again, good concentration there by Chris Nixon. He's another one of those receivers. Gets way downfield, 19-yard average per catch.
Senior from Beaumont has him 1st and 10, their own 46-yard line, and Cobb off left tackle, ridden down by Ty Mason, the tall linebacker, after a gain of 3.
And one of the things I noticed that Rice does a lot of is they go in that 2-point stance where they're up. It looks like a pass protection. That time they ran out of it, but they come out and they don't get down in that 3-point stance where they've got all the weight, and you can tell that run pass. They come out and they just set in a 2-point stance there like they're going to pass block every time.
Hollis, now we're told, definitely out for the game with that sprained right ankle. So from here on in, this is Greg Willig's game for the Owls, trying to tie it up. 2nd down and 7 with Cobb out of the backfield in motion. And he's all alone. The swing pass into Arkansas territory for 5 up to the 46.
And Dave, really, the only action that Willig really got, significant action, was in that one game when Hollis was injured earlier, wasn't it?
Southwestern Louisiana, where Hollis had a slight concussion and maybe could have played, but I think they did the right thing, and they let him sit for about 3/4 of the game. Willig was in charge, and Southwest Louisiana won that game 18-3. But that was early. That was back on September 23rd, so he's had better than a month of work and practice, a lot of reps. Out of bounds goes Cobb after a loss of 1.
Boy, Mick Thomas plays that linebacker spot. You got that big old neck collar in there. He's burly, uses just good form in there. Now watch him. Good form, slide along, don't cross the feet. See that slide, and then just come out. Boy, you can't coach any better than that. That's exactly, for young people out there wanting to know how to play a linebacker spot, that's it. Don't turn your feet. Don't cross. Just slide. When you see him accelerate up, use those big arms to wrap him. That's a fine job.
Didn't get the 1st down, so Schrader punting to Tim Horton. And a nice spiral, and Horton, the senior, does the senior thing. You're supposed to let him bounce inside the 10, and Rice did not down it. They couldn't corral it, so it's a touchback.
Oh, this ball would have died on the 2-yard line. They actually, the impetus of the ball would not have taken it. It would not have gone into the end zone. Watch right here. The Rice defender actually carries it into the end zone. He knocks it into the end zone.
On North Carolina. Now 41-0 for the Fighting Irish. Alabama now by 14 over Mississippi State in the 3rd. And Virginia by 11 over NC State in the fourth. Arkansas with Grovey in charge, their first second-half opportunity from their own 20-yard line. And the pitch in the I formation to James Rouse. Bounces off of Latin and out of bounds with an Arkansas first down and a gain of 15.
Did you see what Rouse did at the end there? Not only wiped out the referee, of course, we see him get him, but Rouse has that little ability to tuck in there. Now, he may have hurt himself. He looked as if he didn't just spring up like he normally does. But watch Rouse when he lowers that shoulder. It's just hard to get those arms around him. Perfect position right there to make the tackle. See that arm just come down there? Nobody to make that, just nobody to wrap him up. Now watch the referee here get hit. Boom.
Matt Sign landed on his ankle. And Rouse stayed on the bench, and Dickerson gets the pitch and then hit hard head-on by Nigel Codrington, the right cornerback from Baytown Sterling.
Boy, that is a hit by a cornerback. Codrington just comes up. You want to talk about when you get that little pitch, this is coming right at you. You be the pitch man out there. Boom, there it is. Now watch Codrington. Head right in the middle. Boom. Gosh.
The indoor high jump champion in the Southwest Conference is better than 7 feet 1 inch. First possession of the game, Nebraska drives it and scores to lead in Colorado. Grovey faked the option pitch to Dickerson. Now back the other way, and the blocker stayed put. He's got a lot of room. And out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Grovey with good yardage and another Arkansas first down as they wheel Donald Hollis back onto the Rice bench. They gave him the cart ride. There he is on crutches. They will x-ray that sprained right ankle after the game.
Well, he can be a lot of help on the, as you see there, now it's just an air cast. What they do is they strap it up, they pump a little bit of air in to keep it tight. But he can be a lot of help to this young quarterback for Rice. He can get able to tell them what they're doing, tell them some of the calls.
Grovey again the keeper, and again an Arkansas first down. He got away from Tim Fitzpatrick. The pressure came, and Fitzpatrick was thinking sack, but Grovey's got those quick feet.
You've got to keep him in front. See the defensive lineman all over there? Nobody in front of him? Watch this little move right here. You talk about shiftiness. Boom. He just makes people miss. I mean, you just stand there flat-footed, and you say, what is he doing that he's able to make them miss? He just uses that body motion. But Rice losing containment and pressure on him also. Try to stay in front of him. That's the way you stop a scrambling quarterback.
Rouse is okay. Back in again, gets away from Latin, up the sideline, and Brigance chases him down. And out of bounds inside the 20. Very impressive Arkansas drive here. The first time they handle it in the second half, and 16 yards on this Rouse game.
Well, they're doing what they do best, and that's what you do in this situation. Kenny Hatfield knows that he's got a running club. They run with great authority. 335 yards rushing per game. And they're going to come out and they're going to run the football, and they're going to establish the run and then go to the pass when they have to. But number one thing is they have to take this emotion out of Rice. Rice is surprised to be as close as they are in this football game.
You saw Latin back on the bench, and they've replaced him with Tommy Lee, a true freshman from Mission. Grovey sideline catch out of bounds by Tim Horton, and Codrington again belted him. Hard hitter, native of Trinidad.
Horton came out with those feet just out of bounds. Perhaps we can see his feet. But watch when he catches the ball. He's trying to keep those feet in bounds. There's the catch. The feet are just out of bounds. Look, Codrington just run right through him. That's how you tackle. But that Horton's a tough little guy.
That is now a final. Number 1 Notre Dame shutting out Navy. And the battle going on between 2 and 3 now. Nebraska and Colorado. We gave you that score, 7-0 very early, Cornhuskers. 2nd and 10. Foster got the fake. Rouse got the pitch. Good tackling for him to limit him to a gain of just 3 yards, and that was Lee who stuck his hat in.
Well, I just love the way they run with that style that they all have here at Arkansas. They just lower that shoulder down when they're going to get hit. It's just power football. They don't try to, a lot of them don't try to juke you. They just try to put that shoulder down and just plow over you.
Well, here's a big play. 3rd down, they need the 16 and call it 7 yards to pick up. Grovey, they hem him in, and down he goes for a loss. Back at the 26-yard line, it was Sean Alberding, a freshman from Burnett, with the sack on Grovey. And that may save them 4, because now they have to kick 3.
Absolutely. What they did that time is they did not lose containment. When Grovey could not find someone open, he started to scramble with the football, but they kept one man in front of Grovey, and they kept the containment, and he had nowhere to bail out and run around. You see him there shaking his head. I had nowhere to go, Coach. That's good defensive pressure from that front line. That's the way you control that scrambling quarterback.
This will be a 43-yard attempt by Wright. And a low liner is wide left. That's just his second miss of the 1989 season for the true freshman from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Still 17-10. It's going to be a very big turning point. Rice able to hold after a very impressive drive by Arkansas, and then Wright wide left on the field goal attempt.
Well, anytime you drive the ball almost 60 yards, you're supposed to get something out of it. That's been one of the things.
7 at halftime.
Well, they're doing what they must do to have a chance to win. That's find Eric Henley. They've done that. Donald Hollis, when he was in there, was 16 of 20 for 170 yards. Avoiding fatigue, I don't think fatigue with the weather has been a factor here. They've kind of compensated, and that's why they're still in this football game, only 7 points down.
Arkansas, meanwhile, doing a good job on the ground. Not that much pressure on Hollis, though.
No, they didn't put any pressure on Hollis when he was there, but fortunately they got him out of the game. And not look ahead, I don't know how much that's played a factor in this game. I don't think they're playing with quite the intensity. And you can see Ken Hatfield on the sideline there. He wants his team to come out and take charge of this football game and run it like they should. That's the job of the head coach.
What do you think his points at halftime were?
I would say that they got to play with much more intensity. They've got to tackle and run harder, block harder, and control it. You see there, he's talking to everybody on the sideline. He wants them all to understand what they've got to do.
Goldsmith has been in this situation. They have, more often than not, been very competitive until the fourth quarter, and I think again today that's going to be where this game's decided.
Well, I think for Fred Goldsmith, I think he has got to be pleased with his team's effort to come in and take a team like he did, to leave the warmth of Arkansas, the great winning tradition, to come down here and take a program that did not win a football game and become as competitive as he has in the first year is a tremendous coaching job.
Hines really airs one out. Cobb lets it go through. Rice starts from their 20-yard line. And Donald Hollis, as far as we can tell, still in the locker room getting treatment. He was not out warming up, so Greg Willig goes back in. Remember, a true freshman from La Mirada, California, who did get the touchdown pass to Eric Henley late in the first half. One of his 2 attempts. Along with him, Trevor Cobb, for the most part, is the lone setback. And as usual, they come out with their 3-receiver look. Henley at a slot, Nixon wide to the right, and Ballady is wide left. And again, no pressure. Open man is Chris Nixon. Patrick Williams riding him down at the 45-yard line, and Rice has done that all day.
Again, he went out of bounds. He was clearly out of bounds and came back in and caught this football. Looked like he kind of blended into the sideline. Watch here. Maybe we can see the tail out when he comes back in bounds. He comes back in bounds there. A little bit earlier that he's out of bounds. But again, good concentration there by Chris Nixon. He's another one of those receivers. Gets way downfield, 19-yard average per catch.
Senior from Beaumont has him 1st and 10, their own 46-yard line, and Cobb off left tackle, ridden down by Ty Mason, the tall linebacker, after a gain of 3.
And one of the things I noticed that Rice does a lot of is they go in that 2-point stance where they're up. It looks like a pass protection. That time they ran out of it, but they come out and they don't get down in that 3-point stance where they've got all the weight, and you can tell that run pass. They come out and they just set in a 2-point stance there like they're going to pass block every time.
Hollis, now we're told, definitely out for the game with that sprained right ankle. So from here on in, this is Greg Willig's game for the Owls, trying to tie it up. 2nd down and 7 with Cobb out of the backfield in motion. And he's all alone. The swing pass into Arkansas territory for 5 up to the 46.
And Dave, really, the only action that really got significant action was in that one game when Hollis was injured earlier, wasn't it?
Southwestern Louisiana, where Hollis had a slight concussion and maybe could have played, but I think they did the right thing, and they let him sit for about 3/4 of the game. Willig was in charge, and Southwest Louisiana won that game 18-3. But that was early. That was back on September 23rd, so he's had better than a month of work and practice, a lot of reps. Out of bounds goes Cobb after a loss of 1.
Boy, Mick Thomas plays that linebacker spot. You got that big old neck collar in there. He's burly, uses just good form in there. Now watch him. Good form, slide along, don't cross the feet. See that slide, and then just come out. Boy, you can't coach any better than that. That's exactly, for young people out there wanting to know how to play a linebacker spot, that's it. Don't turn your feet. Don't cross. Just slide. When you see him accelerate up, use those big arms to wrap him. That's a fine job.
Didn't get the first down, so Schrader punting to Tim Horton. And a nice spiral, and Horton, the senior, does the senior thing. You're supposed to let him bounce inside the 10, and Rice did not down it. They couldn't corral it, so it's a touchback.
Oh, this ball would have died on the 2-yard line. They actually, the impetus of the ball would not have taken it. It would not have gone into the end zone. Watch right here. The Rice defender actually carries it into the end zone. He knocks it into the end zone.
On North Carolina. Now 41-0 for the Fighting Irish. Alabama now by 14 over Mississippi State in the 3rd. And Virginia by 11 over NC State in the 4th. Arkansas with Grovey in charge. Their first second-half opportunity from their own 20-yard line. And the pitch in the I formation to James Rouse. Bounces off of Latin and out of bounds with an Arkansas first down and a gain of 15.
Did you see what Rouse did at the end there? Not only wiped out the referee, of course, we see him get him, but Rouse has that little ability to tuck in there. Now, he may have hurt himself. He looked as if he didn't just spring up like he normally does. But watch Rouse when he lowers that shoulder. It's just hard to get those arms around him. Perfect position right there to make the tackle. See that arm just come down there? Nobody to make that, just nobody to wrap him up. Now watch the referee here get hit. Boom.
Matt Sign landed on his ankle. And Rouse stayed on the bench, and Dickerson gets the pitch and then hit hard head-on by Nigel Codrington, the right cornerback from Baytown Sterling.
Boy, that is a hit by a cornerback. Codrington just comes up. You want to talk about when you get that little pitch, this is coming right at you. You be the pitch man out there. Boom, there it is. Now watch Codrington. Head right in the middle. Boom. Gosh.
The indoor high jump champion in the Southwest Conference is better than 7 feet 1 inch. First possession of the game, Nebraska drives it and scores to lead in Colorado. Grovey faked the option pitch to Dickerson. Now back the other way, and the blocker stayed put. He's got a lot of room. And out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Grovey with good yardage and another Arkansas first down as they wheel Donald Hollis back onto the Rice bench. They gave him the cart ride. There he is on crutches. They will x-ray that sprained right ankle after the game.
Well, he can be a lot of help on the, as you see there. Now it's just an air cast. What they do is they strap it up, they pump a little bit of air, and they keep it tight. But he can be a lot of help to this young quarterback for Rice. He can get able to tell them what they're doing, tell them some of the calls.
Grovey again the keeper, and again an Arkansas first down. He got away from Tim Fitzpatrick. The pressure came, and Fitzpatrick was thinking sack, but Grovey's got those quick feet.
You've got to keep him in front. See the defensive lineman all over there? Nobody in front of him? Watch this little move right here. You talk about shiftiness. Boom. He just makes people miss. I mean, you just stand there flat-footed, and you say, what is he doing that he's able to make them miss? He just uses that body motion. But Rice losing containment and pressure on him also. Try to stay in front of him. That's the way you stop a scrambling quarterback.
Rouse is okay. Back in again, gets away from Latin up the sideline, and Brigance chases him down. And out of bounds inside the 20. Very impressive Arkansas drive here the first time they handled it in the second half, and 16 yards on this Rouse game.
Well, they're doing what they do best, and that's what you do in this situation. Kenny Hatfield knows that he's got a running club. They run with great authority. 335 yards rushing per game. And they're going to come out and they're going to run the football, and they're going to establish the run and then go to the pass when they have to. But number one thing is they have to take this emotion out of Rice. Rice is surprised to be as close as they are in this football game.
You saw Latin back on the bench, and they've replaced him with Tommy Lee, a true freshman from Mission. Grovey sideline catch out of bounds by Tim Horton, and Codrington again belted him. Hard hitter, native of Trinidad.
Horton came out with those feet just out of bounds. Perhaps we can see his feet. But watch when he catches the ball. He's trying to keep those feet in bounds. There's the catch. The feet are just out of bounds. Look, Codrington just run right through him. That's how you tackle. But that Horton's a tough little guy.
That is now a final. Number 1 Notre Dame shutting out Navy. And the battle going on between 2 and 3 now. Nebraska and Colorado. We gave you that score, 7-0 very early, Cornhuskers. 2nd and 10. Foster got the fake. Rouse got the pitch. Good tackling for him to limit him to a gain of just 3 yards, and that was Lee who stuck his hat in.
Well, I just love the way they run with that style that they all have here at Arkansas. They just lower that shoulder down when they're going to get hit. It's just power football. They don't try, a lot of them don't try to juke you. They just try to put that shoulder down and just plow over you.
Well, here's a big play. 3rd down. They need the 16 and call it 7 yards to pick up. Grovey, they hem him in, and down he goes for a loss. Back at the 26-yard line, it was Sean Alberding, a freshman from Burnett, with the sack on Grovey. And that may save them 4, because now they have to kick 3.
Absolutely. What they did that time is they did not lose containment. When Grovey could not find someone open, he started to scramble with the football, but they kept one man in front of Grovey, and they kept the containment, and he had nowhere to bail out and run around. You see him there shaking his head. I had nowhere to go, Coach. That's good defensive pressure from that front line. That's the way you control that scrambling quarterback.
This will be a 43-yard attempt by Wright. And a low liner is wide left. That's just his 2nd miss of the 1989 season for the true freshman from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Still 17-10. It's going to be a very big turning point. Rice able to hold after a very impressive drive by Arkansas, and then Wright wide left on the field goal attempt.
Well, anytime you drive the ball almost 60 yards, you're supposed to get something out of it. That's been one of the things that Rice has done well today, is make Arkansas, every time they've driven the ball, they've had to drive from their own territory.
Willig on play action, chase by Chad Rowland, finds Henley, but leads him just a hair too much in front of Aaron Jackson, the safety. Willig, in a football-dominated family, had brothers that played for Washington, and he's got one right now at Southern Cal.
He's got that great size. That's got to be his biggest advantage. He's got some strength at 210 pounds, but he's 6'6". So when he drops back, those big linemen that are rushing in don't obscure his vision. He's able to look downfield, and he's also pretty fearless back there for a freshman.
Size-wise, he reminds you of Dan Freiberger, the freshman at SMU. On the draw, Chad Rowland was right there in the backfield. He was almost there fast enough to take this handle.
Yeah, he was. Rowland, of course, getting that good penetration. He's a real prototype, that nose tackle. Get around there, recover, get him. Boy, that's just, I don't think you can play any better than that. I played that nose tackle for years in the NFL, and you cannot play any better than that. To get around your man that fast, get back in your lane, stop the draw. That's a well-played play by Chad Rowland.
He's their 2nd leading tackler behind the line of scrimmage this year. Henley slanting inside and then dropped about 2 yards shy of the 1st down. Big tackle by Mick Thomas. And how many times we called his name? Seems like about every other play.
It's Mick Thomas. You're not the #1 tackler on this team for no reason.
He's #1 tackler because he's a force. He's all over.
I wonder if Fred Goldsmith feels a little bit like Roger Craig, the manager of the Giants, who taught everybody in the world the split-finger fastball, and they all come back and beat him. Like Dave Stewart in the World Series. Schrader, a wobbler down to Horton, 33-yard line, and that's where it ends. Big special team tackle by Max Moss, who's had a couple this afternoon. Only a 33-yard kick by Schrader, but no return. Arkansas from their 33, 9 minutes and 39 seconds to go in the third quarter.
That may be Arkansas's best field position of the day. I can't remember them getting any better field position than out to the 33-yard line.
Dave and I will select the Coors Player of the Game at the conclusion of today's telecast. Please stay with us for that. It's some pretty good football. We've got a lot of it to go. Early in the third quarter, Barry Foster, the first man through at fullback. Nosing up to the 39-yard line, O.J. Brigance and Alberding. They're there in on the tackle. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network.
You're watching Arkansas's sports leader, KTV Channel 7.
Arkansas trying to add to that lead on 2nd and 5. Again, it is Foster. He is across the 40 and will set up third down in short yardage. Bowers is back in. We were told that because of that dislocated shoulder, he's probably done, but he has donned that jersey over the wrapping, and he stuck his head in on that tackle. There he is. Junior from Houston King.
He had 56 tackles coming into this game. He was one of their leading tacklers, he and Brigance.
Bowers in his third year as a starter here. On 3rd and 3, the pitch to Rouse, puts his head down, has a first down as he bowls over Tommy Lee.
Now we have to watch that fatigue factor that we've heard so much about with this Rice team, especially with a team that is as strong as Arkansas. They play, in the words of Lou Holtz, smash face football, where you get up there, it's big man on big man. They don't try to fool you. They just try to drive the football right down your throat. That's when they take control of the game, is when they run the football, and they run with authority.
First and 10, and Rouse cut down high and low that time. Terry Thornton in on the stop after a gain of 3. 28-7 now. Michigan has stretched it out against Purdue. 7-3. Air Force Army, two teams the Liberty Bowl is strongly considering, and Florida State has a 14-0 lead on South Carolina. Florida State, of course, off the big win over Miami.
Boy, did they turn their season around after those 2 early losses.
2nd and 7. Again, the option pitch. Rouse chased out by Stone, who they call Mr. Trivia. You know why?
All right, go ahead.
He got the first. You know, they changed the rule on blocking extra points last year. You could run them back, and he ran one back and got the first defensive touchdown ever after that rule change, and a surprise in Austin in the second quarter.
See, I even know who he ran it back against. I bet it was Notre Dame.
It was Notre Dame.
How you like that? Well, that is a surprise.
Texas Tech with some Cotton Bowl hopes. They've lost 2, but they're not mathematically out of it yet. Texas, of course, 3-0 in the conference race. This time the option pitch to Foster, the fullback. Caught short of what he needed for the first. They gave him only 2. Brigance, again, very active inside linebacker on the tackle.
Big decision here for Kenny Hatfield and his staff. There's a lot of people down there yelling, we got to go for it. We got to go for it, coach. He's going to take a minute to think about it. Look at this. That was a tough decision. You've just driven the ball 20-30 yards. You don't want to take away from your offense, but the smart thing to do is to punt it away.
And by a very naturally conservative coach, not a surprising decision. Meacham really hangs one up. Henley, fair catch at his 10-yard line. 6 minutes and 55 seconds in the third quarter. Arkansas hanging on with a 7-point lead. 10-yard line. So 90 yards away from tying the game up, with Greg Willig leading the Rice offense with the one-back set. Of course, Trevor Cobb behind him. Henley there in the slot as Cobb goes in motion. And the sideline catch made by Courtney Craven, junior 2-year letterman from Houston North Shore, with a first down, 26-yard line.
And all this does is boost that quarterback's confidence. All of a sudden, they're going to say, hey, we might have a chance in this football game, because he throws that into serious coverage and gets away with it.
He showed some of the arm strength Hollis shows. Yes. Goldsmith says that Hollis is about as good as anybody he's seen at throwing to the sideline from the opposite hash mark, which is the true litmus test of a strong arm. Cobb, quick opener, and another Rice first down out across the 40 for 15. Rob Bonneau chased him down from safety. One more look at it here.
Boy, all you need is a little seam right there, and you'll see Cobb get that little seam right there. Boom. Now, once he gets through that first line, now he's into the secondary, picks up that big yardage. But that's all you need for that those little rushers that get that chance to just scoot up in the line. If they get there before those big linemen can react, then they're into the secondary quickly.
All 4 receivers on the wide side of the field now, and Willig over the middle, overthrows a wide open Eric Henley. A couple of times he's had him open and just too much on the ball. Had he made the grab, Henley had only Anthony Cooney to beat, or we're looking at a tie game.
And that's only the second incompletion that he's thrown. He's 6 of 8 for 79 yards, so he's playing as well as Hollis did in the first part of this football game.
A lot of people, I think, who watched the Arkansas-Texas game and are watching this game are wondering about the Arkansas looseness in the coverage. I want you to talk about that after this 2nd and 10 play. Willig all day. Turner, the tight end, driven down immediately by Pat Burris after a pickup of 7, and it'll be 3rd down and 3. Arkansas never seems to tighten up their coverage.
No, what they do is, now this is a look at their secondary coverage. What they're doing is they're dropping a 2-deep zone. 2 deep means one line right there on about the 50 and one line on the 40. And the seams are right there when they turn around. You can see everybody just kind of has a zone that they cover. Now, it's good when it's played that way because you react quickly to it. What happens, though, is if you break one man through and he gets in those seams, that's where the big passing yardage is made.
This time, Willig finds Henley for the first down ahead of Ty Mason's tackle in Razorback territory at the 45, and Rice continues, you would think, to gain a lot of confidence the way they've thrown the ball. Final now for Clemson, and Colorado has marched back to tie up the Cornhuskers.
But one thing that you have to be if you're the team that's playing against Arkansas is you have to be patient. You just can't. You have to keep on nibbling away. You don't get that big bite. Just keep on nibbling away, nibbling away, nibbling away, and pretty soon you're downfield and in scoring position. But you have to have patience.
Cobb again off tackle. They clogged the hole much better this time, only 3 yards after it had gone for 15 earlier on this drive. And then it should also be said that Arkansas will allow you the yards between the 20s, but they really tighten down once you get in scoring territory.
Well, I don't want to take anything away from Arkansas secondary. They have a good secondary. What they do is they like you to catch the ball in front of them, and then they come up because they're so well drilled and so well schooled on tackling, they come up and make you pay the price. And eventually you start looking around when you take 4 or 5 of those big hits.
Willig out of pressure and then led Cobb just a step too long in front of Mick Thomas. Good job getting it off in time.
You know, you only have to look back to last week and see how effective that defense was against Houston. And this might have been, this looked like a face mask on the tail end of it, but yeah, let's see.
Yep.
That's actually the inadvertent face mask where the hand is not used to, to rip them down. It's just the hand on the mask. But no flag on that play.
Blitz works for Arkansas. 3rd and 7, Rice. And over the middle, through the hands of Ken Benson to Melvin Turner. First down, Owls. They may have gotten the break they've been looking for.
Well, that was a big break because they had two receivers in the same area. There had to be a mix-up. You see him going across the middle. Now watch Turner there. There goes the ball up. Now watch Turner. Heads up play. Looks back, picks up the ball, gets the reception, gets the first down. The ball certainly was not intended for Turner. The ball went up, and Turner was right there in the zone. That's why you think that there is something wrong with that pattern. Somebody went the wrong direction.
Ken Benson thought he had his first interception. Instead, Rice deeper into Arkansas territory. Burris dragging down Cobb after a nice 7-yard gain on first down. No coach is going to argue with that.
Nothing wrong with that play if you're a Rice fan. If you're an Arkansas fan, you're saying, hey, wait a minute. They're not supposed to be in this football game with us. But I think it's very, very true what Kenny Hatfield and Fred Goldsmith both said before the game. Hatfield said, hey, this is no pushover game. I know how this team is going to play. They're going to play hard football. They've been competitive in every football game they've been in this year.
Cobb on second effort is going to be close for the first down. About half the Arkansas defense driving him back, but he did crack the 20, and he needed the 19.
Dave, to tell you how effective this drive is, this will be the 11th play of this drive. That's quite a drive.
They mark him down right at the 20, third down and 1. Willig showing patience. A lot of freshmen would maybe try and go for more than he's given, but he hasn't done that.
Well, they're doing one thing very smart. They're not letting him call his own plays. They signal him from the sideline so he doesn't have to make those big decisions until he audibilizes.
Quick inside pitch, and Henley is there. First down at the Arkansas 16. They've used that play very successfully in short yardage situations today.
This is a hot play. When he looks over there, he sees that there's no coverage. Boom, he just throws it to him. Look, it's an end-over-end pass. You just want to get the ball when there's nobody right over top of that receiver. In other words, the linebacker doesn't come out and respect him. It's just a hot pass. The receiver looks immediately in. It's a hot pass. Just get to him just as fast as you can. So it wasn't a pretty pass, but it certainly was effective.
Only 3 in the Arkansas rush, but Bubba Barrow makes Willig throw it almost right into the hands of Rob Bonneau. That's the second near interception that Willig has thrown on this drive, and Colorado, after falling down on the first drive of the game, now has the lead.
Boulder. And in Boulder, they're saying, whoa, Nelly, that's a surprise.
Sammy and Norm again.
Where's Lonnie? I thought there was a third Al.
There is an Al to be named later. I don't know if he made it today.
Look at him looking in our camera. Who's in there?
Oh, isn't that nice?
Isn't that nice?
You'd like to see your mascots get along like that.
Little husband and wife mascot.
Sammy and Norm, I hope. Willig into the end zone, and Henley has the Rice touchdown.
And I want to tell you, watching Willig run over to the sidelines, I thought he just thrown an interception. He just kind of jogged over the sideline, had no emotion. I mean, if I was a freshman out there and I'm playing against this great Arkansas team and I've just thrown a touchdown that has the possibility of tying this football game, I'm going to be jumping 20 feet high. He just jogged over the touchdown, just over the sideline like he expected it.
A la Peter Gardere a couple of weeks ago. Takes it all in stride. Hartman ties it with the extra point after the second touchdown catch of the day by Henley.
Watch Willig when he throws right there. Boom. There's the touchdown. Just leaves him perfectly. Again, this is just a post pattern. Leads him.
Tough coverage by a linebacker on Henley. Travel arranged through Continental, offering the only European vacations with a double your money back guarantee. Continental, working to be your choice to the world. That's one of the best drives we have seen all year. Donald Hollis saw it from that perch in the stands. With that sprained ankle, Arkansas tied up on the 90-yard drive. 17-17. Courtney's kick will come down at the 11-yard line to Barry Foster, and he's got the alley up the middle and big yardage. Courtney giving chase, prevents a possible touchdown at the 39-yard line of Rice.
And let me tell you what Foster did. Arkansas had set up a wall on their sideline, a wall of blockers, and Foster took one step towards the wall and all of a sudden saw that seam, boom, see that right up the middle? He didn't even go over where the wall was. Everybody was over on the left of the screen. You can see Foster. He started that one step and then just bursted up the middle when he saw that seam. And wow, do they have great field position on the 40-yard line of Rice.
Thanks to the 50-yard return by Foster. And he'll take a breather. Kerwin Price in along with Rouse. Rouse is inside the 35, turned away after a gain of 5. We talked about the Rice musts earlier in the day. They found Henley, but now Hollis is out of the game, and Willig is carrying on the same way Hollis was playing.
Well, he certainly is. I think they're two quarterbacks equally out of the mold of each other. I mean, they're very similar in their size and certainly in their leadership ability. And avoid fatigue. Fatigue has not played a factor.
How about that? Field position has definitely been a problem for Arkansas until the Foster kick return. 2nd and 5. Will be option pitch. Rouse, big room, first down and out of bounds at the 22 as Codrington drove him out. If you're Kenny Hatfield, the one thing you would get money for after you've been tied up is a big kick return like that.
Well, that's the perfect play. That's exactly what you want, to get that good field position. If you're Rice, what you want to do is get them down in the territory and again take that emotion out. But as I say often, it's the great players that take it upon themselves to win football games, the Grovies that scramble and lead their teams, and Barry Foster on that run. All of a sudden, those great players do something that just sparkles and gives them a chance to win.
Grovey not able to find Tim Horton. And out of bounds after a gain of 2. Chased there by Donald Bowers, the man who has overcome that slight dislocation of his right shoulder. And there's the time remaining in the 3rd quarter. Well, I think that fatigue factor will still come into play. It just historically has for Rice in the 4th quarter.
It certainly has.
14-3 now, Air Force over Army. 21-7 Florida State. And Texas back in front of the Red Raiders on a touchdown in Austin in the 2nd quarter. Ron Dickerson barely finding the handle. Then he was blasted by Codrington, who recovered and helped on the final stop at the 11-yard line. What concentration by the freshman from State College, Pennsylvania.
Well, coaches will tell you, don't put your head down when you tackle. And watch this head go down on Codrington. Watch this. Put the head down. See, and he misses them. You've got to go. You've got to come up, and you've got to wrap them up. Coaches teach you, wrap them up. Get those arms around them. Ron Dickerson may have made the biggest run of this game for himself. Of course, you know, his father's a coach at Penn State. No one could understand how they got him out of Penn State, but he just said, his father said, I'll let you go wherever you want to go, son. And he had that ability and that talent to play.
Rouse is back into tailback on 1st and 10 and gets the draw play call and the Arkansas touchdown. $11 yards to go back in front with 12 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter.
Boy, and hasn't Rouse run with authority today? 18 carries, 132 yards. He is just a bulldozer back there.
That's after a 125-yard day against Houston by Barry Foster, and a day where Rouse also went over 100. So there's a chance with the day that Grovey's had, 13 carries for 64 yards, they again may have a pair of 100-yard gainers. Wright's kick good. Arkansas back in front by 7 in a back-and-forth second half.
Watch the seam. You see the split between the guard and the center? That's what allows them to get the seam there. That's what you look for. Interesting that guard took a wider split than normal. Let's see if we can perhaps see that footage again. See the split between the guard and center right there? See how wide he has the tackle out? Now look at the natural seam right there down the middle. Another good up block there. That was Price that got that block on the linebacker. But that was interesting. What they did is they split the defense a little bit wider than normal. You've got to keep relative distance in there. What you do is you don't want to get split wider because it opens up the natural seams in the middle. You saw Fred Goldsmith telling Codrington keep his head up. You see that on that play? Right there. There's his telling him, don't duck your head.
Fred Goldsmith, of course, was advised by a lot of people, you don't want to come here. This is not a place where you can win. And he didn't listen. He's been in situations like this before at the high school level and turned them around. One other interesting chapter in his coaching career, he was an assistant coach at predominantly black Florida A&M, the only white coach there. So he's been in a lot of different situations. From the 1, Trevor Cobb. 27, maybe the 28-yard line, and 5 seconds to go in the third quarter.
You almost get the feeling that the last team that has the ball may win this football game because it's been that type of a game.
Well, that's what Hatfield told the Hogs would happen last week. We're going to have to score every time we get it to beat Houston. They almost did.
Well, they scored 9 times out of the 12 times they had the ball, I think.
Won it 45-39. This one going down to the wire here at the end of the third quarter, and we're right where we were at halftime. A 21-point favorite, ahead by only 7. Willig to the sideline. Nixon broken up by Curtis Banks as the quarter comes to a close. Nice defensive effort by the cornerback Banks from Dallas Carter. 17 for the Rice Owls, 24 for the Razorbacks. Back after these messages from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network. Fourth quarter with Rice again trying to drive for the tying score. They've already done it once this half. They trail 24-17. Second down and 10 with Trevor Cobb going in motion from the 28-yard line. Here comes the rush, and down goes Greg Willig. Scott Long and Tony Allison. They were in there together on the line for one of the few times, and they pinched in from either side on Willig.
Now watch the top of your screen. You're going to see Long, number 80, come in there. He's just clean. Boy, and he just takes him down. That adds to Long's long list of sacks. He was their sack leader coming into this game with 6, and he's added to it.
Not bad for a former tight end.
No.
Loss of 9, third down and 19.
Oops.
And there was motion before the snap.
I believe that's going to be the right guard. Starting off a little bit early.
Our referee, Bud Alexander.
Dead ball, illegal procedure, offense.
We may see this. I think the right guard set. There he is, number 75.
Alan Cook.
Yep,
Up to it.
Just trying to get up and get that good pass block. Well, this is a big down. You don't want to throw that interception, and there's a good tendency when you've got third down, and as long as they have, to try and force the ball in. A lot of pressure on that young quarterback.
Willig chased by Allison. Now some room. Long drives him out, though, at the 26-yard line, and so thus will end this Rice possession. Through 3 quarters, Arkansas now with the first down lead. They've had the rushing lead all day. Rice throwing for nearly 300 yards in just 3 quarters, and the total yardage indicative of the offensive showcase that we said we'd have at the start of the day.
We knew that it would be an offensive showcase, and certainly has been over 700 yards of offense.
Tough day by Bobby Schrader, though. He does get the owl bounce.
That ball just keeps on rolling.
That's going to turn into it's going to look like a boomer in the paper tomorrow.
Look at it, still rolling. Now the wind is blowing that way, so they'll just walk it all the way back in.
That's a 55-yard punt. And Arkansas will start from their own 19-yard line, leading by 7. Jimmy Williams at quarterback. Grovey getting a breather, and the senior one-year letterman from right here in Houston at Jones High School. Is the handoff to Ron Dickerson. Breaks tackles and is up near the 29-yard line. 9 yards before David Griffin's tackle. Grovey appears to be okay and just getting a breather, and there were flags down late on that play.
Yeah, I love it when with the big old offensive lineman, defensive line, they put the hands up. Hey, wait a minute, that wasn't me. It wasn't me. There you go, dead ball, personal foul, and it's going to go against Rice. Oh, no, wait a minute. He pointed at Rice, and then all of a sudden he pointed at... Boy, that'll make an defensive coach upset. You can see right there, we do not hurt ourselves. See if we see the late hit here. There's the late hit. I don't know. I don't know about late hit like that.
Dead ball, personal foul, offense, half the distance.
Now, I don't think that was a late hit.
Yeah, he just pointed the wrong way first.
He did point towards Rice. That's what made me think it was late hit, and I was going, now, wait a minute. That certainly wasn't a late hit. With a late hit, you look for intent, you know, the spear or something like that. When you fall on top of somebody, that's not a late hit. Evidently, it was something else in the line against Arkansas.
Jimmy Williams' numbers this year in limited activity behind Grovey. But he gets to play in his hometown and pitches again to Dickerson. The cutback toward the middle and then carries a couple of Owls up to the 23 and give him 9 yards. Well, you look at the future that the Arkansas backfield shows. Grovey's just a junior. Foster's a junior. Jackson's a freshman. Dickerson is a freshman. Price is a sophomore. And I guess they could put Aaron Jackson back in the offensive backfield in the 44 if they had to, if they got in the pinch, but they were so balanced and had so much depth, they made him a safety. Williams flushed out, brought down, and he will lose maybe a yard.
And I think that what Kenny Hatfield has just decided, he wants to give this young man a chance to play in front of his own hometown. From right here, give him a chance. He's a senior. Let him have a few plays in there. Let him see what he can do.
Alabama remains undefeated. Virginia surprises NC State.
That is a surprise. Virginia's got a good chance. Of course, they beat Penn State. They've lost 2 games, and they certainly have a good bowl chance now.
End over end by Alan Meacham. Does not get an Arkansas roll. And Billy Winston there to down it. Rice will have outstanding field position at their own 43-yard line. 11:44 to go. Rice trying to tie it up here in Houston. 35-yarder, and the result is the best field position of the day for Rice. Their own 44 officially. Only down 24-17, and this is the same margin Arkansas won by last year in Little Rock, so it's not unprecedented. They have had some trouble with this Rice Owl team. Cobb met by Shepard and smacked down hard for a loss of at least 1. Michael Shepard, the senior from Monroe, Louisiana, all-conference last year. 5th leading tackler this year.
I just like the way Shepard plays his position. He plays it with, like a lot of these Arkansas players do. They just play just as hard as they can every play. There's no fatigue in those fellas.
Well, they go over the middle, and we'll look for a flag here. We don't see one. Looked like Cooney made the early contact, and Courtney Craven certainly thinks so.
Boy, I did too. I want to tell you, I've seen a lot of pass interference, but this looked like it all the way. Now, maybe it was something that I didn't see, but I thought there was contact just as the ball left the hand of the quarterback, almost too early. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but it really looked like contact as the ball was in the air as it left the quarterback's hand, but the official right there said no.
Yeah, I thought it was clear cut.
Yeah, I did also.
Tough break for Rice, 3rd and 11. And a flag, and we may have had early movement again by Rice along the line. That's been a second half bugaboo of theirs.
Dead ball, illegal procedure, offense.
Are they trying to get that hair early start? Is that why they're offsides?
You'll see it again. Again, it's Cook, 75. See that quick start right there? He's already up out of his stance. That's awfully close. Awfully close. But what happens is, as a lineman, you get used to a cadence that a quarterback has, and it throws you off sometimes as much as it throws off the defensive lineman.
Cook, who lost 52 pounds in a weight loss program dictated by Goldsmith. That ball is intercepted, and Curtis Banks has only Willard to beat. And he does. Touchdown, Arkansas.
Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. And on this play, I think Arkansas was lucky because the ball went right through the receiver's hands. The Arkansas player was right there, caught it right on stride. He was in position, but again, just came right into Banks's hands.
What a day it's turned into for him. He was a late addition to their starting lineup ahead of Michael James, and scores from 47 yards out on his second interception of the year. Banks, the sophomore from Dallas Carter, makes it 30-17 Arkansas. Adams holding, Wright kicking, 14-point lead.
Well, you're going to see this ball is intended out here, and it hits the hands. Now watch when it hits the hands. Boom. Right there, it hits the hands, and now it's in Banks' hands. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Lewis Ballady, the intended receiver.
Maybe I will see it a little bit better from this other angle. Again, it's going to be right here at the bottom of the screen. Now watch. Ballady goes up, touches the ball, and there's Banks, the opportunistic Banks.
47 yards later, it's 31-17 Hogs. Of a Rice Owl fan.
Well, at least he's here at the game now. I think he slept through that last touchdown because I haven't seen him move yet. He may be sleeping.
31-17 Arkansas. And the liner fumbled by Hines. Finally picks it up just in time to get belted by Kirk Collins at the 16-yard line. Our Schick permanent storyline. Arkansas on the ground up near 300 yards, and most of it by James Rouse with 132 in the score. Rice over 300 passing. Henley 7 catches to give him 70 for the year, and both Rice touchdowns. But the way their season has gone, they have not had the margin for error that will allow you to overcome a 47-yard interception return for a touchdown.
Very difficult to overcome that, especially when you're playing with such thin troops as Fred Goldsmith is playing with. He just has a thin line. Once you get past his first line, he's got good quality players at his first line, but that's why the fatigue factor is there. Because once you get past those first lines, it's tough.
Back and forth, and Nebraska now tying it up in Boulder. They led 7-0, then trailed 14-7. And the winner of that game probably will go on to play Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, but there's some interesting bowl implications, as you see Thomas helped off. For about half the Southwest Conference, there are 5 teams with legitimate bowl opportunities this year.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of people that can go to the Cotton Bowl still. There's our Houston TCU 6-0 in the first period, and SMU and Texas A&M 7-0. Certainly Texas A&M can go to a bowl.
Allison trying to get through to Willard. Can't do it. Long chases him out, but he's got a Rice first down at the 28-yard line. 12-yard gain by Willard, who shows some of his mobility.
This is a real learning experience for him. Interesting, in talking with Fred Goldsmith, I said, have you ever thought about putting Hollis back in there on defense? He said, well, I've got a bona fide first blue chipper at backup. It's a young freshman. He said, I don't know if you'll get to see him, but he said, I've often thought about putting Hollis back in there at quarterback, back in at safety where he played last year and was so effective.
I think just for a play or two, it's got to be real tempting with big must situations for the defense. Cobb with the swing pass is driven back, slung down by Shannon Wright, backup linebacker from Fort Smith, with the tackle on Cobb. And remember, Dave and I will select the Coors Player of the Game at the conclusion of today's telecast, so please stay with us. We've got 9:42 to go. Rice trailing 31-17.
We probably have 9 candidates. Also, I certainly think of Grovey. I think of Rice right away. We called Mick Thomas's name enough to make him a household word in Arkansas.
Russell and Rouse, big days for Arkansas.
Yeah.
Henley for Rice.
Hollis before he got hurt. Willig, if he comes back and leads his team here.
Underthrows Henley in front of the coverage by Pat Burris. That'll bring up 3rd and 9. And if you are Rice, you really have to do something on this possession. Even though you got 9:15 to go, you have to get 2 touchdown drives.
Well, one thing about when you're playing a team as good as Arkansas is that Arkansas can take and drive the ball and just consume the clock. They never hurt themselves. You don't see this Arkansas team throw very many interceptions, and they don't fumble the ball very often. So they just don't hurt themselves, and they just keep on chewing up that yardage. Three plays and a first down, and boy, the clock just keeps on ticking away.
Willig keeping it and tiptoeing up where he has a first down. They mark him at the 42. Presence of mind, and especially knowing where he was on the field.
And I think tiptoeing is the right word. Now he decides right here he's going to run, and then all of a sudden he comes back there. Now watch right here. He sees that red flag and says, whoop, I got to get up there. Now I'm not so sure he didn't step out of bounds there. I'd like to run that back a second. I thought he might have stepped out of bounds.
Did you?
Yeah, I really did. I thought his foot came down on the line around 38. Watch right here. Watch his foot right there.
Very close.
That is close.
Owls with new life and first down, and Willig over the middle behind Henley. He had a couple of steps on Burris that time.
Boy, did Chad Rowland say welcome to the Southwest Conference. Wow.
Conference standings coming into today. Texas the clear leader, but they've got 5 games to go, counting their date with Tech today. A&M with 1 loss, Arkansas with 1 loss, and mathematically still in it, Baylor and Tech even with 2 losses.
I think there are mathematical chances for the first 6 teams to go. Is that right? To the
all except for Houston.
Yeah.
If Houston were eligible, it'd be a real mess. Down will go Willig, and they rule that a live ball. Mackenzie Phillips can't return it because it had already bounced, but the Razorbacks take over at the 31. The pressure came in the person of Michael Shepard.
It's going to be backside pressure, so Willig never sees it. Now, he says his arm goes forward, but I don't think so. The pressure's going to come to the right. You see Shepard there, 98? He's coming in there. Now, watch his arm. See, his arm never starts to come forward before the ball goes out. There's McKenzie comes along, and he picks the ball up. Again, the elbow has to go forward. When the arm is set back there, watch here, see if his arm comes forward. It went back when Shepard hit him. No way did it go forward. And what a turn of events for Arkansas.
Williams is still the quarterback. Ron Dickerson still the tailback up near the 25-yard line. And Rice now, I would think, in a position where they got to start tackling the ball.
Well, they do. There's still a lot of time left. But there's time if you're Rice. There's not time if you're Arkansas. Now, if Arkansas was trying to score twice, it'd be very difficult with their predominance of running. But now the clock plays in their favor, because all they have to do is just keep on running it and running it and running it and eating up that clock.
Talked about how Arkansas led the nation this decade in that turnover margin ratio. Belted is Winston, but he's inside the 5. First and goal, Arkansas. And Otha Latin made him pay.
Every time I look at Winston, I think of Ozzie Newsome, the great receiver, because Winston has a lot of the same characteristics. He doesn't fumble. Now, he takes a shot here. You could fumble this very easily. Look at that shot.
Right on the ball.
Right on the ball, but with those big hands, and Winston being such a big target. How's that for a tight end with his size, 240 pounds? You don't think of him as a downfield with 3 catches for 70 yards.
So Jimmy Williams trying to punch it in here at his hometown. Lindy Lindsay in motion. Kerwin Price straight ahead for a couple. So this is a drive where youth is being served. In the person of Price, at least, a sophomore from East St. Louis, Illinois.
Don't you know it's nice to see Jimmy Williams get a chance to play in front of his hometown crowd, because Grovey came in here and started as a freshman, I believe, and has just taken over this Arkansas team. But I think Arkansas and Kenny Hatfield especially is known for some of the class things that they do. I think of the Cunningham situation.
I was just about to bring that up, and that takes a while to really cover. Second and goal at the 2. Dickerson, the cut back, the second effort, and the touchdown.
Well, you got a minute. Tell us about it. I think it's one of the kindest things I've seen in college football.
Well, if you haven't seen the papers this week, Ed Cunningham, the tackle for Texas, had his family at the game in Fayetteville 2 weeks ago, and his father had a heart attack, and his heart literally stopped while he was leaving the stadium. They rushed him to the hospital 3 times. He had to be revived after his heart stopped, and Ken Hatfield 2 and 3 times a day visited the Cunningham family in the hospital, set him up with free meals at the Arkansas Athletic Dining Hall, gave him clothes, gave him a hotel room.
Practiced with the team. Cunningham was able to practice with the Arkansas team.
One more look at the Dickerson touchdown here, and 30 to 50 Arkansas players visited Ed Cunningham and his father. And then to top it off, they would not have been able to get an airline trip back to Amarillo, so they were able to get the Arkansas private plane and fly him back, and he's recovering back in the Panhandle. Great story. Arkansas up by 21. (38-17). Arkansas with a couple of fourth-quarter touchdowns to break this one wide open. Henley faking the reverse to Hines this time. Bounces off a tackler and is out across the 30. He had given it to Hines earlier, and this time the fake works for a little more yardage.
Well, as we look at this scoring drive, the first thing that comes up is the touchdown drives. The first thing comes up is that fatigue factor. There are 8 plays, 80 yards. You can see 3 minutes, 2 minutes, minute 34, a minute 42. It didn't take them long to score, and that's surprising because usually Arkansas is one of those teams that just drives down and takes 5-6 minutes. But again, the first thing comes up into my mind is the fatigue factor. But I don't know if I've really seen evidence of people really getting tired. I think it's more the turnovers than it is anything else.
Nice fingertip grab by Henley just above the all-pro turf, and a gain of 5 or 6. The turnover is also starting to play a key factor, especially that Curtis Banks 47-yard interception return when Rice still had a chance to tie it up when they trailed only 24-17.
Yeah, that really, I think it's more turnovers than it was the fatigue factor. I think they've played a good football game. They played solid out here. They're just playing a team that's, well, they're at their record because they are a good football team. That's why they're nationally ranked.
Cobb following his blockers up to the 38 for a couple. Stops the clock, 6 minutes and 48 seconds to play. Bubba Barrow over there for the Arkansas defense. And a happy Arkansas bench. Foster and Price. Arkansas from here back home to host Baylor next week. And their big showdown will be November 24th, the day after Thanksgiving, at Texas A&M. That may decide the Mobile Cotton Bowl. Willard, Henley, and a first down. He avoided Burris and finally got cut down by Kirk Collins, sophomore from Lamarck, not far from here.
Well, you want to take a peek at some of the other scores around the country. There's our Dr. Pepper roundup. Of course, Michigan way out ahead of Purdue.
How about A&M?
Struggling. Struggling against SMU. Houston in control of that TCU game in the second period, 19 points.
Arkansas timeout. That's their first of the half. 6 minutes and 29 seconds. Arkansas by 21, the same margin by which they were favored. Time for a breather for Greg Willig and the Owls here at Rice Stadium in Houston. The timeout with 6:29 to go. Owls at their 49-yard line, trying to make it look a little more respectable. This, like every game but one this year, is one in which Rice had a lead at one point, but they probably will fall to 1-7-1 and 1-5 in the conference race. Robinson went in motion on 1st and 10. Willig threw it behind one of his offensive linemen, Jim Murphy, number 78.
I think Ty Mason tackled the receiver coming out of the backfield. That's why they weren't able to complete it. I think Mason saw him kind of sneaking out there in the screenplay. You see Willig saying, hey, wait a minute.
Goldsmith says, wait a minute,
Yeah.
because they signaled holding Rice.
No, I think it was holding. I thought it was holding on Arkansas. I think what happened, I thought he tackled the receiver as he came out of the backfield. I thought it was Henley was going for a little slip screen. Well, they're talking with Arkansas.
Interesting.
There's Fred Goldsmith saying, now, wait a minute, number 2 was held.
Ineligible downfield offense.
You would think it's Murphy who was the nearest owl to the ball.
As fast as that ball was thrown, it's hard to believe you can get downfield. See, you're allowed one. Well, he is pretty far downfield. You're allowed about 2 steps, but I think what happened is that Mason, when he messed up Henley coming out of the backfield, and there's that updated score, A&M 14-7 over SMU. But I think when he messed up Henley, it messed up the timing of the play.
So 1st and 15. Now they loop it over, and Craven. First down. Inside the Razorback 40 to the 39, 18 yards for Courtney Craven. Rob Bonneau chased him down.
And you know what Craven's saying? I tripped over the white line because I don't think anybody tackled him. I think if he keeps his feet here, watch him. I think he's surprised that he breaks through here. This may be the phantom tackle. Now watch right here. There's not a whole lot. Well, maybe a little bit, but put those feet up and get going. You knew how close he came to breaking that one.
Willig with a flag down is also down right at about the line of scrimmage. Now they talk about the guys who do everything but sell tickets. Courtney Craven and Donald Hollis, a couple other Owls, also sold tickets, season tickets. That was their off-season job. And another indication against the Owls.
Yeah, they're going to take them back. This is holding almost definitely. I thought this was Jock Torres. Now our truck is telling us that they think it's Cook, but
Holding.
They're usually
offense.
right on it.
All right, now they're going to prove to us that they think they're right. Let's look at number 75 there. Nope, that's not holding.
Well, maybe that is.
No, that's not holding. No.
He tackled him by the waist.
Ah. You know, you have to dig deep to prove a point. Well, if it was tackling, then it wasn't holding.
Thrown up and over Trevor Cobb and out of bounds. Been a tough day for Alan Cook all the way around. Called offsides a couple of times and a net penalty. He's one of our GTE all-academic Owls, and there are a bunch of them.
Well, there are.
Senior from Winnie. Fred Goldsmith likes the recruiting prospects, although you got to wait a little while before those might turn into possibilities. But he says this is not as hard a place to recruit for as the national supposition is. You have to have good grades. You have to be in the top half of your high school class. Henley with the reception. And right near the original line of scrimmage, so he got half what they needed on 2nd down. And he says that he thinks the way he set up the offense, which is the Dennis Erickson system that he took from Washington State to the University of Miami, he thinks it's going to be a popular offense when he goes to recruit quarterbacks, because they're going to throw, receivers are going to get the ball, running backs are going to get the ball. And defensively, it's pretty much the same system that he taught at Arkansas.
A lot of teams recruit specific players. Like if you're in Oklahoma, if you want to go to Oklahoma, you better be a running back. Not a quarterback, not a passing quarterback if you're going to go to Oklahoma, say. Same thing true with Nebraska, for example. I bet I can't even name Nebraska's quarterback because he hands off all the time.
Incompletion intended for Turner. Coverage by Ken Benson.
You know, this has been a game of what ifs. What if Willig doesn't throw that interception? What if they don't have that quick turnover? What if Donald Hollis doesn't get hurt? A lot of what ifs here.
Upcoming here on Raycom. Next week we're in Lubbock, TCU and Texas Tech. And possibly Baylor, Texas. That is a wild card situation on the 25th. It will either be Baylor, Texas, also possibly SMU, Arkansas the next week, December 2nd. We've got a Rice timeout with 4:42 to go.
Well, they're
calling Texas Tech the Giant Killers because they've knocked off some really ranked teams this year.
Chance to do so again today as they play in Austin. Last score, Texas was up by 3. Here, it's the Razorbacks by 21. Houston, Dave Barnett, Dave Rowe. There's the situation. And 4th down, 10 needed for Rice. Not much question from the Razorback 39. They go for it. And Willig underthrows Henley again. That has been the story when he's tried to hook up with the 3rd leading receiver in the NCAA.
I thought that ball might have gotten tipped there by Scott Long. It looks as if the ball went right into the ground. See, there's an upset Fred Goldsmith, but I think that he has to be happy with his performance of his team.
Stayed in it well into the 4th quarter today.
Right.
Here's what Arkansas's got to do to make it back to the Mobile Cotton Bowl. They have to win Baylor, A&M, and SMU games and hope Texas loses twice, because if they tie head-to-head with the Longhorns, of course, Texas won head-to-head, and they would go. Ron Dickerson's out across the 40. Also, if there's a 3-way tie, Texas, if they tie with A&M or Arkansas, would go because they've been least recently. The Horns have to win 3 of 4 up to the A&M game, and you figure they got to beat A&M because the Aggies probably will still be very much in the picture. They have to play at Houston, not far from here, the Astrodome. That will really be the test for the Texas defense, which has really turned it around in the secondary from one of the worst in the nation last year to a nationally ranked pass defense this year. Williams, the sideline flip, just a little too tall for Tim Horton. And now A&M, the other prime Cotton Bowl contender of the top 3. They have SMU today and then Arkansas and Texas all at home. So if you look at the schedule, even though they get 2 tough ones to finish it, they have the advantage because they haven't lost at home in the conference in 5 years.
And all those statistics are brought to you by our wonderful crew down there at the truck, Gina and Carol. And I think they got everything right on that one.
As I could tell. Then again, I thought Rice would throw deep at the end of the first half. Arkansas not just grinding it out. They're trying to balance it out, and Dickerson looked away right as it hit him between his numbers. One of the most highly recruited running backs in the nation last year. And now 4th and 7. The mob continues, rain or shine, win or lose, and Alan Meacham will punt it away with 3:44 to go.
Well, you know what's amazing to me is how many Arkansas fans are here. As I look across the stadium, I want to tell you there's more Arkansas fans here than there are Rice. They've got quite a following.
Oh, the Owls are used to that. Good bounce this time from Meacham down to the 23. Last week, about 25,000 here, mostly Aggies. And it was strange because the mob, of course, does their halftime parody, and they were booed at their own stadium by the partisan Aggie crowd. A 35-yard punt by Meacham, 3.5 minutes to go. Purdue in the 4th, Air Force, 22-3 the 3rd over Army. 2 good possibilities to play in the Liberty Bowl here on Raycom on December the 28th from Memphis. Keep that in mind as you make your holiday plans.
And that's quite a tie that the Liberty Bowl did. Of course, patriotism in that, and tying to one of the service academies, our Air Force, Navy, or Army. Air Force has got a good shot to be in that so far in this game.
If they don't win the WAC and go to the Holiday Bowl. Eric Henley on the reverse pass and underthrows Lewis Ballady, who was pretty well covered anyway.
Well, I don't think he'll be noted for his passing ability. He's more noted for that catching ability. I believe he's got 10 catches.
10 today for 108 yards. So for the season, 73 catches. And the only man who's caught more in one season was James Sykes, who caught 76, most of them from Tommy Kramer.
That was back in 76.
So that should be a record that falls, if not today, with still 3:24 to go, certainly in the next game. Well, here's one of them he needed. And now loses it, but it bounced off Michael James out of bounds, and it's still Rice ball at the 32. Got an 8-yard pickup.
Well, this may be a bad mark.
Let's see if he goes out of bounds, because if he doesn't, he gets marked 2 yards shy. Now watch right here. There's the ball. Now see where the ball is right there on the, it looked like a first down where the ball goes off the defensive player, but they marked it back there about 2 yards shy of that.
With that catch, now has 11 receptions today. That ties his career high for one game. Willig looking long over the middle, and again underthrows Henley. Well, 4 or 5 by my unofficial tally. Underthrows when he had Henley open. That will bring up 4th down and 1, and a pretty disgusted Greg Willig, who, when thrust into the situation that he was faced with late in the first half, didn't do badly. 2 touchdown passes to Henley. Through better than 3 quarters, had him within 7 points of the nationally ranked Arkansas. Flag down on the low punt, which is fumbled and fallen on by Tim Horton.
I do want to clear up one quick rule on that fumble. It's not whether it's the defensive back would have to gain possession of that ball in order for it to be marked up there. It's where he fumbled the ball from. So the official, I want to give officials, I like to give them credit when they're right. And I'll give him credit where he's right. That's where he fumbled it, and that's where they marked it.
So duly noted. That was a 43-yard punt. They won't take the penalty against Rice. 3:02 to go. Between Goldsmith and Nigel Codrington. Read their minds.
I'm just going to say, discussing some of the particulars about defensive play over there.
That's a nice, safe answer.
But after your great prognostications there on the run-pass efforts at the end of the first half, I don't want to speculate.
Stone the tackle on Ron Dickerson. I think that's an excellent decision on your part. Clock rolls down near 2.5 minutes. Arkansas led by 7 at the half and by 7 coming into the 4th quarter, and the game breaker was a 47-yard touchdown interception return by Curtis Banks. This is Kerwin Price up to the 28-yard line. He's the replacement for Juju Harshaw. And we miss calling his name because that's always fun to say. Juju Harshaw, he broke his toe last week. Will miss at least a couple of games.
Yeah, they're hoping to get him back, I think, by the A&M game. What didn't they say?
I think so.
Yeah.
The executive producer of Raycom Sports is Peter Rolfe. Senior coordinating producer and producer of today's game, Johnny Tyus. Arkansas Rice directed by Lonnie Dale as you look at Dickerson. Out of Stone's tackle, now brought down at the 33-yard line. Joel Dawson with a nice recovery. And in addition to Lonnie Dale, our technical director, Stacy Smith, and our associate producer, David W. Handler. And everybody helping to make this an enjoyable day for us here at Rice Stadium in Houston. It missed the 40th anniversary of Rice Stadium. That's one more great story with a minute 20 to go.
Well,
this place was built because of the 1949 Cotton Bowl champion Rice team. They needed more seats. They got 70,000 of them built here in 9 months.
So they worked 24 hours a day. Somebody told me they lost 2 people in building the stadium.
That's the legend. Now, you never know about stories like that. But they just kept pouring the concrete, they said. And in working around the clock, they got it ready for the next season. 1950.
I don't know what this stadium seats. You perhaps know.
70,000.
70,000 plus. They played the Super Bowl here one year.
That was the Minnesota-Miami Super Bowl.
Well, it's a great stadium to watch. There's no obstruction of any seat that I can see. It's
no track around it. You're right there on the field.
That's a beautiful stadium. Just has too many empty seats.
Yeah, that's the problem. Arkansas timeout. Why would they do that with a minute 2 to go?
I don't know, unless they didn't have enough defensive players out there.
That's probably as good a guess as any. And our Coors player of the game, as you look at Donald Hollis, who has watched the second half on crutches after he sprained his ankle, is James Rouse. 18 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. Ball control by Arkansas because they always knew they could hand it to him and get nice big chunks of yardage. Minute to go. Arkansas with the victory will improve to 7-1, 4-1 in conference play. Rice will fall to 1-7-1 and 1-5, but there is a definite feeling here that they have better days ahead in the regime of Fred Goldsmith. Interception by Shannon Wright up to midfield. Wright, one of the great defensive players in Arkansas high school history at Fort Smith, one of the 2 true freshmen that they have used today, along with Ron Dickerson.
Now this is what you call the sit-down time. All you do now is just run the ball into the ground. Yeah, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see the quarterback just kneel down. But it has been a good game. I think it's been a good game from both standpoints. I don't think Arkansas was sharp today when they came out to play. I just don't think whether they overlooked them or whether they were looking on or whether Rice played well. Arkansas didn't look sharp, but they scored when they had to, and their great players took control. For Rice, it's got to be a good victory because what they did is they came out and they played a nationally ranked team, and they were able to hold their own.
Hey, look at Dickerson. He's not done. Lee finally brought him down at the 32. And 19 seconds remaining. Just a taste of the future for you Arkansas fans.
Well, he left a string of blue jerseys after him, didn't he?
Gain of 20.
Look again. Now, look, we don't want to score here.
Well, I don't think they will, because the clock is now rolling again, and they will not have to snap it.
That's what he was saying. They looked over and said, "You want to take another snap?" And he went, "No, don't want to take another snap."
So the friendship of Kent Hatfield and Fred Goldsmith, head-to-head as head coaches for the first time, goes to Hatfield, and the Arkansas Razorbacks win it by 21 here at Rice Stadium in Houston, 38-17. Stadium to take on the Red Raiders at Texas Tech. Make that TCU, why don't you? That is next Saturday at high noon on Raycom Sports and Entertainment. Quality shows. Air travel provided by Southwest Airlines. This has been a copyrighted presentation of Raycom Sports.